Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Oh, people like us who live on the telephone. People like us. Nice. The mic was too loud, so that's just gonna clip a bunch.
People like us. We
suck cock.
Yeah, I don't remember. We don't like freedom. We just want love, or something like that.
We don't want no freedom. I'm a big fan of the Talking Heads. That's why I picked the movie.
I'm not gonna claim that I'm a big Talking Heads fan, but I like every Talking Heads song I've heard, and there's one song of theirs particularly that I like called Give Me Back My Name.
Mm-hmm.
I always jive with that one because I found it on a JoJo thread one time.
Oh.
And it's been my go-to Talking Heads song. But
nice.
I've always meant to get more into their body of work, and I think this movie...
So you're a fan, you're just not super familiar with them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of like how I am with the Mountain Goats.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I also just like David Byrne as a person because he's kind of a fucking weirdo.
I could tell.
Everybody named David is a fucking weirdo.
This movie was in terms of its sense of humor, way ahead of its time.
I was a big fan. Anyway, welcome back to Screen Weens, the only podcast. We talk about movies on this one. And today we'll be talking about True Stories from 1986, directed by David Byrne, the frontman of the Talking Heads, and Prometheus from 2012, the prequel of the Alien franchise, which was directed by Ridley Scott, who originally made the original Alien.
Yep.
And would go on to make Alien Covenant, which is heralded as the greatest film ever made.
What movie?
Alien Covenant.
Never heard of it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Thomas, how you been?
I've been alive.
Nice.
Been,
grooving, moving,
pretty much. Just, didn't watch a whole lot of movies this week. I watched one additional movie, so I'll get that out of the way. It was Blade Runner, the original Ridley Scott one.
Nice. Did you do that because you were going to watch Prometheus and you're like, I want to watch a Ridley Scott?
I actually picked Prometheus because for the last 2 weeks I've been watching just a bunch of Blade Runner videos on YouTube, and I'm like, oh man, I really want to rewatch Blade Runner. And then I picked Prometheus because I kind of shifted over to Prometheus, and then I watched Blade Runner right after I had picked it.
Well, and you would have to pick Blade Runner 2049 because you had newer picks.
Yeah. And I didn't want to do that, so... aside from that, just been doing a lot of just reading, and I don't watch the news, but I read and listen to a lot of different news.
Mm-hmm. I've seen you've been blowing up on Facebook. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck Joe Biden.
Good. Have you seen the TikTok with the person? They have just a can of stuff inside, and they're shaking it, and they're like, please don't make me vote for Joe Biden.
Oh, no.
It's pretty great.
As bad as this might sound, I might pull what I did in 2016. If Bernie or bust, dude. I mean,
Bernie is Bernie or 4 more years of Trump.
Well, I guess now it would matter. It didn't matter back in 2016 because I'm pretty sure they go with superdelegate votes, but they're doing actual... real votes in Washington now. So,
okay.
They're changing up how we normally do it, because I went to, the caucus for, Bernie, and then Hillary took it, and I was like, well, at that point, I was like, yeah, Trump's bad. And I knew he was going to cause
in hindsight,
I
probably would have voted for Hillary. I didn't vote for Trump either. I went independent. Yeah. I'm not voting.
A lot of people voted for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein.
Yeah, I voted for Jill. I fucking hate Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. I hate them both. And I'm like, so I voted for Jill Stein. She's okay, but then she's like, there's a fucking nut. Yeah. She's fucking crazy as well. And I'm like, That 2016 election was fucking cursed.
Yeah, no, it was bad. Bernie's coming back with a fucking vengeance, though, and there's been the DNC's, pulling up their tricks, but At this point, I feel like it's going to turn out like a fucking Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner cartoon where the DNC's Wile E. Coyote, where they're just going to do all these different things.
Shoot themselves in the foot.
And just keep screwing themselves over.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they did in 2016.
Yeah, and I mean, the like, RNC did the same exact thing with, like, Trump, because, I mean, you saw them, like, throw every single person they fucking had, and then...
Yeah.
But the people the conservatives wanted Trump, so they were just like, well, shit, I guess...
He has a lot of money! He must be good!
The most fucked thing, though, is I think that most establishment Democrats would rather keep Trump as opposed to go to Bernie.
Oh, yeah.
Because Trump's doing exactly what they want. He's giving, like, the billionaires tax breaks and shit, and they know if Bernie comes in, it's game over. So...
I just love seeing stupid old people on, like, because I like Bernie Sanders' page on Facebook.
Oh.
And every time he posts something, I'll see, like, a comment being like, "You're not gonna bring your communism into America." And I'm like, God, I wish Bernie Sanders was an actual communist. Because even calling him a democratic socialist is pretty pushing it. Bernie Sanders is a capitalist. He's just not as bad as others. Like,
yeah.
He just has socialist ideals. It's just silly. And it's always these old white ladies who, like, you look at their profile and their profile picture is like a picture of a dog. And you go to the next one and it's like them, like, saluting the flag. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I am once again asking for your financial support, Screen Weens.
Man, we should get Bernie Sanders on the podcast.
I would love to. I've already...
Hey, Bernie, we got 63 subscribers!
I've looked at the amount that I donated to him, and I'm just under 100. So it's like, oh, nice. I've been just kind of tossing, like, $10 here and there whenever somebody, like, does something to fuck with him. I'm like, he's probably getting mass donations. Let me throw $10 in.
Nice.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that, and then I've been doing a little manga reading. A little ironic manga reading. Something that most people might not expect me to read.
Inuyasha.
No. You're kind
or
of
in
close,
High
though.
School Host Club.
No.
Naruto.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't like Naruto. Like at all.
I've got mixed feelings on Naruto. I think that there's some good stuff in there, particularly the earlier stuff. And then it gets really, really convoluted and messy later on. Especially in that last third. But yeah, I don't know, like, most of the time I bash Naruto, but it's got some good stuff in there, I think. But I definitely don't blame you for not liking it.
The video games are pretty good, though.
Yeah, that's actually what, because I bought the first Ultimate Ninja Storm on my PlayStation.
I'm a fan of that one.
And then I was like, fuck, I'll just read some of the manga.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Cool. I watched a couple things. I haven't watched, like, a ton this week because I started my new job and stuff. But let's see what Mr. London has watched this week. I watched the new Nick Cage movie, Color Out of Space.
Oh, how was that?
Bad.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I had heard really good things and really bad things. I'm like,
and
like,
I haven't seen the really bad things. I've just seen everyone like, yes, this movie's great. And I was like, oh.
The colors are super good. It's fun to look at, but like, and Nick Cage is really good in it. And he has a more subtle performance in a lot of times, and then he freaks out and he starts having a really weird accent, and it's great. But like, all the other characters that have a lot of screen time are really boring and really poorly acted. I'm like, oh, great. What's really funny is the only other, like, good performance in the film is from Tommy Chong.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? And it's not even, like, good. It's the best out of all of them.
Serviceable.
It wasn't, like, terrible, but I was not a fan of it.
Is it made by the same people who made Mandy?
No, it's by Richard Stanley.
Oh, okay.
He did, like, Hardware and Dust Devil a while ago. He hasn't made a movie in, like, 20 years.
Okay. I wanted to say I had seen something about Mandy on, like, the promotion for it.
It's just a lot of people say it's like Mandy because the colors are similar. Like, it's very...
I still haven't seen Mandy, so...
Mandy's really good. I really like Mandy.
Yeah, I need to watch it.
I'm gonna rewatch it soon.
Haven't gotten the chance yet.
I watched, there was a Wonder Woman animated movie that came out last year. It was bad. It was like really bad.
Oh.
Yeah. Which usually I'm a decent fan of the DC animated movies. A lot of them are bad, but there's quite a few that are like good, or some of them are even great. And this one I was kind of hyped for last year. I'm like, hey, we don't have a lot of Wonder Woman content. Surprisingly, there are not like many Wonder Woman movies comparatively to like Superman and Batman.
Gee, I wonder why. Not like there is a stigma against women in superhero media or anything.
But that was really bad. But then I watched like an indie comedy called It's a Disaster. You heard of that one?
No.
It's by this guy named Todd Berger. It's...
What an awesome name.
Yeah. The main character is David Cross.
Oh, okay.
And Julia Stiles is the other main character. And it's about this, they go on like a date to this like couples brunch, even though it's only their like third date. And they're at her friend's house. And then, their neighbor shows up after like all the power goes out and stuff. And they're like, hey, there were a bunch of like dirty bombs that went off. And they're like, we're gonna die in like 2 hours. Like, just there's radiation everywhere and everyone's going to die. So they just kind of try to figure out what they're gonna do, and then die pretty much. It was fun though. It's one of those niche comedies that it's like the humor will either like really hit you or you'll think it's really obnoxious. But I personally thought it was really funny.
That sounds pretty interesting. I'll have to check that out. It's one of like my big fears if they were to drop nukes, because I know I wouldn't be on ground zero. So
yeah,
more than likely, statistically, I wouldn't be on ground zero. So it's like I would just slowly wait for the radiation to kill me. It's like, oh, great.
I watched this anthology horror film, a Halloween anthology horror film, because it was January, and I'm like, oh, Halloween time.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of Tales of Halloween?
Maybe if I saw like...
There's a bunch of directors that did stuff for it, and like Neil Marshall did one of it, Lucky McKee, a bunch of people that I'm familiar with, so I'm like, I'll watch this. Can't be too bad. And there are some good reviews for it, so I'm like, oh, okay.
I have a general rule with horror movies. If they have the most like basic bitch generic title, I tend to like be like, whoa! Unless it's like pre-90s, in which case I might be more willing to kind of check it out.
Yeah, like Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I watched it because anthology films with like a lot of shorts are kind of interest me, like, because even if they're bad, they're go quick. By quickly. Yeah. But no, this was just fucking abysmal. I hated it. I hated every second I spent with it. It's really, really bad. And then I watched Intruder, which is one of the few full moon films that I've enjoyed. Directed by Sam Raimi's longtime friend,
Ram Sammy?
No, Scott Spiegel. He's the co-writer of Evil Dead 2.
Okay.
Which is funny because the other things he wrote are just like fucking awful, like From Dusk Till Dawn 2.
I mean, if we're being honest, it's not like the writing for Evil Dead 2 is like super superb. It's mostly just like
it's funny.
It's the execution.
I mean, I think the writing's pretty good for like what it's going for.
Yeah.
Goofy, you know. But Intruder was really good. It was really, really like shallow. Like there was nothing. The characters weren't very interesting, but it had some really cool, like, fun deaths, and there was some really fun cinematography. I was, like, really surprised. I'm like, hey, I kept going, hey, that's fun. And, yeah. And it's nice seeing, I forgot how, like, I hadn't seen Sam Raimi, like, act in a lot of things, and he looked just like Ted Raimi when they were younger.
Yeah.
Like, they looked the exact same. Except Ted Raimi was wearing glasses.
Yeah, Ted's got a little bit of a longer head.
Yeah, but especially when they were both skinnier. Like, Sam Raimi's now a little, like, chunkier, little beefier man.
Sam Raimi is in the Shining miniseries. He has, like, a small cameo part.
It's really good. That's a really good one, right?
Yeah, it's better than Stanley Kubrick's.
Which, it's funny because Ted Raimi, I was, like, pretty familiar with Ted Raimi way before I was familiar with Sam Raimi. Like, I had seen the Spider-Man movies, but I didn't really understand directors very much.
Yeah.
But I watched Xena Warrior Princess a lot. And have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I've seen, like...
Have you seen Ted Raimi, and it's amazing.
Is he?
Yeah, he plays this guy named Joxer. And he's like, pretends to be this like great warrior, and he goes around singing a song. He's like, he's Joxer the mighty, roaming round the countryside.
Okay. Yeah, I've always meant to watch like that, and I think it's a Hercules show.
Yeah, Xena was a spin-off of Hercules.
Okay, yeah.
Xena's much better than Hercules, though.
That's kind of what I've heard. Because you don't hear very many people talking about the Hercules today. But.
Like, it's fine. But Xena, I legitimately thought was, like, really good. I haven't seen it in 9 years, probably.
She's in Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Yeah.
She's like a main character.
She was also in Battlestar Galactica.
Was she?
The newer one, obviously. Huh. She was probably not alive for the original. Well, she probably was, but she was, like, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was. Let me make sure. Let me make sure I'm not a fucking liar. Yeah. She was like one of the main ladies in Battlestar Galactica. I didn't watch a whole lot of that, but my mother did, so I would come home and she'd be like, I watched 7 more episodes. I'm like, when you started this, you said we were going to watch it together. And she's like, sorry. I'm like, fuck you. I don't know. I watched Gretel and Hansel, the new horror film.
Yeah, I saw your review.
Yeah, really bad. Yeah, really fucking bad.
Yeah, it's funny because like the second I saw that trailer for it like a few days ago, I was like, oh, looks like they wanted to make The Witch, but with Hansel and Gretel. And then you had like brought up that it kind of.
Yeah,
you thought
it felt like just a more brightly lit witch that was much worsely executed. Mm-hmm. And then I watched Alien for the first time. Mm-hmm. I probably had seen it as a kid. Like I remember bits and pieces of it, but
to the point where it's like
I don't think I saw the whole thing ever. Yeah, I barely remembered it. It was like as I was watching, I'm like, oh, I remember this scene, but. It wasn't until I watched it that I would remember those things. Yeah. And I wasn't super impressed by it. Like, I liked it. I can definitely see why people like it, but there's this YouTuber, H-Bomber guy. You should watch his videos.
I've definitely seen some of his videos because that name is super
familiar. Have you seen the video he's made? I think it's called, like, VHS scan lines or something like that. No. He talks about how, like...
Let me pull up his YouTube channel and kind of thumb through his videos, see what I have seen of his...
He talks about how, like, the VHS, the format itself helped certain movies because of the, like, shitty quality. Oh, yeah. And he talks about specifically Alien because everything was so drenched in darkness and stuff, it made everything scary. And I definitely agree with that because watching it in, like, HD... I wasn't nearly as scared as I thought it should be.
Which version did you watch, by the way? There's 2 different
versions. I just watched the theatrical.
Okay, because there's the theatrical, which is the version I typically watch. It's, I think, like, most people's preferred version, and then there's, like, the 2003 director's cut.
That has, like, 15 extra minutes, right? Or
I think it's actually shorter. Oh. But it has, like, different stuff that's not in the theatrical cut, and stuff from the theatrical cut's not in that, so...
I don't know which one I watched.
Yeah, I think it comes to like just be a couple minutes shorter than the theatrical cut, actually. But it like adds more, so it doesn't feel like as slow. So you probably watched the theatrical of it
if you thought it was slow.
It was a little slow. H-Bomber guy. I've definitely watched some of his videos.
But that video is really good, and I definitely agree with that. Especially, I really didn't like the climax of the film, the last, like, 10 or so minutes. I think it's because a lot of it's the lighting, like the xenomorphs, like, going to bed, and then he falls over, and it just... It every time before that, because he was shrouded in darkness, it looked good. But at this point... As he falls over, it just looks like a guy in a rubber suit. And it's like, it completely ruins the tone of the scene, in my opinion.
There's one shot that I always think of when it's like, I think it's like behind like the space suits and the escape pod, and it's like reaching its hand out at Ripley, and I always thought that scene kind of looked a little corny.
Yeah, there's just some corny elements, and also like I'm just like, why did Ripley take off all her clothes for this last scene?
To be sexy.
I'm just like, what the fuck? And it wasn't even that, but then it was like, oh, she has to get in this other suit thing. And it like zooms in on her crotch as she gets in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah.
And it's just disappointing because the like 15 minutes before that, I thought would have been like a great ending. I thought it was really, really good. And I just did not, just like running through the ship and like, it just felt like sporadic and like tense. And then, I don't know, the last 10 minutes didn't do it for me. I also don't like any of the characters besides Ripley.
I mean, I
like Jones.
I like the characters from what I remember. I mean, I don't think they're all necessarily good characters, obviously. Because... Here, we're just going to throw a spoiler tag on this because that
spoiler for a
movie that came out in
1979. 41 years old.
If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Yeah, I do recommend it. Like, I still enjoyed it, but
yeah, you might like it more than London did.
You probably will like it more than
because I remember like the captain guy had was keeping information from her. And they make dumb decisions, like Ripley's like the one who's like, no, don't bring him on the ship. What are you guys doing? Oh, you did it. Well, don't let him out of there. Oh, you did it.
Yeah. I think my biggest problem, and I'm just going to skip ahead to Prometheus just to say one thing. I think my biggest problem with the whole Alien franchise is all the mistakes they make are really, really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But in Prometheus,
they're a lot more obvious.
In Prometheus, however, most of the mistakes are made by like one person. They'll make a mistake and they'll die for it. But it's just them making the mistake. In Alien, it seems like everyone's making the exact same mistake jointly. Okay. Like, Ripley's like, don't do it. And everyone's just like, no, this is a good idea. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And Prometheus, I guess I was a little more forgiving because it was just one person.
Yeah.
They weren't uniformly making the same error.
Yeah.
But it's just like, in Alien, do you remember the face hugger, how it bleeds acid?
Yeah.
As soon as they figure out it bleeds acid, it dies like a scene later, and they're like touching it, and they're so close. They put their face like right up against it. I'm like, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah.
It's just like nobody wears gloves, or they wear like little plastic gloves, and there's no protective. It's just very fucking annoying.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a couple years, so I might like pick it apart if I were to watch it.
Like
again.
those were more
Like
nitpicks. Like I had bigger issues with like the pacing, and I didn't really enjoy most of the characters, especially the other main like female lady. Can't remember her name, but she was very annoying.
Yeah.
And like all she did was scream. She didn't even really even have a character. It was just like all the interesting parts of Ripley, they like just made her worse because of it. Ugh. I like the cat though.
Yeah, and Harry Dean Stanton is great.
Yeah.
His character doesn't really do anything that's like warranted.
Who does Harry Dean Stanton play?
He plays the guy who has the cat. He's like the old trucker guy.
Oh yeah. And I don't know. I didn't like the little twist they do. Ash, I think his name is, or whatever. The doctor, the science officer. That's the robot. Like it was fun. It was just like. Also, the scene where they like reactivate him to talk to him.
Yeah.
It just looks so stupid because they're like pushing the fake head on and then they're switching it to the other scene where it's his real head.
Yeah.
And it's just like so poorly framed. Like, of course it was going to look weird because it goes from a mannequin head to a guy's head. But I feel like they could have done that a bit better.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of things that I like, a lot of like little issues that ended up just like adding to like be really big issues for me.
The sum of the whole is the sum of the parts, you know?
I still liked it. And I love the set design of it. Everything looks great. And there's some really good music and stuff, but I give it like a 6.
I get your critiques.
Yeah.
I understand.
And then I'm like, almost done with Aliens. I was watching it before we got here, and kind of the same issues in certain ways, except like that some of them are just exacerbated, like the fucking
because it's bigger. And
yeah, it's like, hey, look, we're not going to keep anything in the darkness because now it's just an action movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like most of the characters are even worse.
Oh,
there's a couple that I kind of dig, but they also do like the same twists of being like, but the humans are bad too.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yes, we get it, but that's the exact same thing you did in the first one.
Yeah.
Can you just focus on like a new thing? Mm-hmm. Also, like there's some things that I like, but that they don't really focus on. Like Burke, he's the guy from the company that's not a soldier that goes with them. He's like, at one point, he's like, listen, we can't just choose to like exterminate an entire intelligent race, and they're like, fuck that. But I enjoy like talk like that. Like, yes, they're killing them, but
yeah, because
they're an intelligent. You don't have the right to like kill another species.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a conversation to be had about that.
But I wish they had done that more. But it's just kind of a one-off thing, and then it's like, oh, but he's only saying that because of this reason. It's like, I want to have that conversation though. That's an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just not a big fan of the Alien franchise.
Oh. To each their own.
I also rewatched Jekyll and Hyde, my jam musical. I'm writing a big review for that. So
nice.
I'm like halfway done. I've been working on it for like 3 days. Yeah, but that's what I did this week. And then I've been working every day. Or Monday through Friday. It's nice that I just like... Because before I was just kind of working whenever. A lot of the jobs in my life I've just been kind of working when they need me.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a set schedule.
Oh yeah, that's like my number one thing for like I require from a job now is like I don't care, just have me on a set schedule.
Yeah.
I can't do the sporadic schedule thing.
I mean, I could for so long.
Yeah, but it just...
But now
after like a few weeks, it's just to the point where it's like, do you really feel like you don't get any time off? Because it's like... Yeah. When I worked for, I'm going to shout them out, Boom Shaka. I don't give a shit. When I worked for them.
Sponsored by Boom Shaka.
Yeah, it's a trampoline house. The company's called Circus Tricks, but they would like...
Oh, you're really just calling them out.
Oh, yeah. They've got locations all over the country. Fuck them. Fuck them all.
If you go there, you'll break your legs.
Yeah, no, we had so many leg breaks. It's like a big, like, trampoline house. But... They used to schedule me, so it's like I would work 5 days. They would give me 1 day off. Then they'd like schedule me for like 3 days, give me a day off, schedule me for like another 2 days, give me 1 day off. And it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And plus it wasn't like, oh, you're working mornings or you're working nights. It was like
here's a morning.
Day, night, day, night, day, night. And it's like, oh my fucking God, I hate you. And then the night shift would end at 1 a.m. and the morning shift is at 8 a.m. and I didn't live in the town, so I had to commute. So I was like, oh great, I fucking hate my life. But I don't work there anymore, and I'm slightly happier.
But now you're a janitor.
Yeah.
Woo!
Hey, it's easier.
Yeah.
Carefree.
Don't have to talk to a lot of people.
Exactly. You know, people can look it down on the custodian life, but I don't give a shit.
Weird, because my job, like, my last job, I talked to one single man who could not speak verbally. Mm. And now I talk to, like, 80 kids a day. I actually like it. I was surprised. I'm like, I guess I do like kids.
Yeah, I mean, I like them in, like, microdoses.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't want to go, like, home to a child and be like, oh.
No.
But
if they're, like,
seeing one for, like, 6 hours a day, I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, if they're, like, a decent kid, not, like... Because at Boom Shaka, I had to deal with a lot of little shits. Mm-hmm. Little privileged pricks whose parents wouldn't tell them to fucking behave and follow the rules. So I had to be the fucking parent in the situation and go, hey, kid, don't fucking do that. You'll die.
You'll die!
If the trampoline doesn't kill you, I will.
Holy shit. That's why Thomas doesn't work there anymore.
I got fired for threatening too many children. No, not really. But yeah, so.
All right.
Yeah.
We ready for some questions?
Lay it on me.
Actually, I have a question first.
Okay.
Who do you think is the better Paul Anderson director?
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Paul Thomas Anderson or Paul W.S. Anderson?
Paul Thomas
Are
Anderson.
you sure?
I am positive.
Okay.
Primarily because he hasn't killed anybody.
Has Paul W.S. Anderson killed someone? Like, was there like a stunt person that died or something in a set?
Yeah, I think so. I think they died. They might have just gotten really injured, but regardless, his irresponsible filmmaking got someone.
I mean, that's what happened in Deadpool 2 as well. One of the stunt actresses, died. I think in the motorcycle chase or something.
That's why I want to make like character dramas. I don't want to kill anyone.
Yeah. Or just have action things with like, okay, somebody's probably not going to die from this. Like maybe just no high-speed chases on a motorcycle.
Yeah. Or if I do, make sure that I make it as safe and as like CGI as possible. Can you believe they used to like set like fucking stunt doubles and shit on fire for like movies?
They still do it sometimes.
Sometimes.
In a lot of East Asian countries like that are poorer, that are in the action film industry, it's really fucking dangerous.
Yeah. It's a dangerous life.
Yeah. Okay, Pierre's already being super antagonistic and dumb in this first question.
Oh.
He says, apparently things like blackface are frowned upon. Pierre knows very well that blackface is not good.
I don't think you can tell him that.
What, because Pierre's black and he's gonna no, blackface is good.
I think he has.
Pierre does not actually
I think he has overall say about it.
He does not think that blackface is good. But what do you think about when a character of color is voice acted by someone who is not? For example, if an animated version of the Marvel character Luke Cage was voiced by a Chinese man.
Okay. My stance on this with voice acting is as long as it's not a white person who sees the character as black and tries to give them a black voice. Like if they want to voice act and
that's the biggest issue is a lot of,
as long as they're not doing like this and like trying to like make their voice like deeper and obvious like shit that you'll typically see them do. As long as they like try to play the part naturally and they actually fit the role because it's voice acting, I don't mind. But as soon as they like start trying to do like racial stereotypes with the voice or something like that, like a lot of like JoJo's dubs, they'll do, like part 2's dub in particular, like part 2, a lot of it takes place in Italy and they'll have like these thick Italian accents in the dub and it's like, don't do that. That's bad.
spaghetti and meatball.
Like it's literally like shit post tier, like Italian.
Oh, good.
Like, it's me, Mario, like kind of level shit. It's bad.
It's me, Jojo.
No, he's British American.
It's me, Jojo.
Caesar Zappelli.
It's me, Jojo.
Ah, then yeah, sure.
I am in a slightly different opinion here. I think that I think it's different when a person of color plays a different person of color, but it's more of an issue when a white person is portraying a person of color, because historically, white people have gotten roles of people of color for, since the dawn of cinema. It started with blackface, but it's kind of still going on, perpetuated with white people playing, like voice acting Asian people or black people. So I think that if there wasn't that issue of, non-white people getting roles taken away from them because of that, I wouldn't have that big of an issue with it. But because that's still happening, I think that you should at least attempt to hire people of that same race to play a person of that race, especially if it's a character, especially if it's a character that's driven because of their race. Like if it's a movie about being like black, and you have like a white
if that's the case, then
up.
definitely you hire an actor who's the.
But when the role isn't like, the crux of that role isn't about them being that race and like those racial relations or something, then I don't think it's as big of an issue. I don't think it's as bad as like somebody actually doing blackface, but I do think there is issues there that need to be addressed, and I don't think they're addressed as often as they should be. I don't think it's as bad, but like I preferably would want to see black people play black people, or Asian people play Asian people. But like I said. Do you prefer a sequel story to an established franchise to share the same characters and locations as the original, or branch off and focus on new characters and places in the lore? If you prefer getting away from the original, how far should it be? Thousands of years, millions of miles?
Generally, it's a case-by-case basis. Entirely dependent on, like, the film. So if the first film has, like, more room for character growth, like by the end of it, like they could do another character arc or explore more of these characters, like Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, like then yeah, I'm all for like following the same characters, or something like. But I think generally I prefer like movies that kind of like go off and sequels that do their own thing. Like Blade Runner 2049 is like a good example. It still has the characters from it, but like it from like the first one. But
it also has
it's
arguably more interesting protagonist.
Yeah, a more interesting protagonist.
What's his name in it?
It's Kay or Joe.
And Decker's the original guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Denis Villeneuve, he said recently that he would be interested in doing a Blade Runner 3, except he wouldn't want it to be Blade Runner 3. He'd want it to take place in the Blade Runner universe, but not focus on the Blade Runner, because he feels like what you could really do with that role has kind of been filled up, so he wants to like explore different aspects of the universe, and that's the kind of sequel I really like.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I guess I do kind of prefer like universes of films more than straight up sequels, especially with like the Star Wars films now. Like from going on, most of them will be in completely different timelines, and that's great because it's an entire universe.
Yeah. I don't even think it necessarily has to take place like in different time periods. It can.
It can just take place in different places.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I tend to just like, I guess, spin-offs more than sequels, I guess. Like, if the sequels are unwarranted, I would much rather them make an unwarranted spin-off, I guess. Because that is its own thing.
Exactly.
That's like, that's cool, that's neat. Unwarranted sequels, just like, okay, I don't really understand the point of this. I don't see that as much as with a spin-off, because I'm like, oh, this is a new product. It just happens to be somewhat related to this other product. Yeah, but good question, Pierre. Thanks.
Yeah, those are both.
All right, final one. Oh, are you familiar with David Cage?
The name sounds familiar.
He's the guy who made Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls.
I haven't played any of his games, but I'm like familiar with like.
I think he made Detroit Become Human. Pierre randomly switched it up, and instead of asking about David Lynch, he asked about David Cage.
Oh, okay.
Do you think David Cage ever went to a theme park? What do you think his favorite ride would be? I'm not super familiar with David Cage, except that he's not a very good writer. So, I don't know. Something that's predictable. Some ride that's really predictable. The Ferris wheel.
The teacups.
The teacups. Oh, because it like spins you around and tries to confuse you.
Yeah.
But really, it's just like, as soon as you focus, you're like, oh, I get it.
Yep, there you go.
We did it. All right.
But no, I don't think David Cage has been to an amusement park.
Ever. He's never been. All right. What's your movie idea?
Oh, boy. It's a movie about a guy who his job is to put windows in ceilings. And while it's like an aesthetic thing. And
like skylights kind of thing?
Just any ceiling. Any ceiling that someone wants a window in. He'll do it. And this
Okay.
old creepy man is like, hey, I want you to put a window in the ceiling of my apartment. So he's like, okay, I can do that. So he does it. And then he finds out it's because there's a woman who lives upstairs.
Yeah, okay.
And then he falls in love with the woman while he's putting in this window into this guy's ceiling. But this creepy guy is also in love with the woman, but in a much creepier way. So I don't know.
And it like turns out that the old man is the window man in the future.
Well, actually, I was gonna say it turns out that the old creepy guy was actually the woman the whole time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Like it's a mirror into their other life. Yeah, I get. Okay, great idea.
No, he
It's him the whole time. He just goes upstairs.
He's got. At some point, he had some sort of like a mental split. So he literally split into two people.
Mental and physical split.
Yes.
Okay.
And kind of like he had like that like woman part of him that he was like denying because he's like a man's man. He's like, no.
So then that part literally just split and then moved in upstairs.
Yeah, so the window guy's got to like teach him to like put these two parts together, and then they fall in love.
He falls in love with the old man?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Once he helps him become his true self.
Cool. Sounds great. All right, my idea is about like competitive bottle flipping.
Okay.
It's like your average sports drama.
Mm-hmm.
It's about like a kid who's like on the verge of becoming homeless. His parents are like just they don't work very often. They're not very good people. He goes out. He gets in the rough crowd and he like flips bottles for money from people. He like bets. He's like, hey, I bet I can flip this bottle 172 times in a row, and if I do, you give me $5. And he just does that, but then like this old like Olympic athlete sees him doing that. He's like, we can make it to the big league.
Oh, okay.
And the old like Olympic athlete is also like kind of a bum now. He's not really doing too hot, but he's like, no, I see hope in you, and if there's hope in you, there's hope for me. It's just like it's gonna be like this really melodramatic, like cheesy, like sports drama, like you see in every couple years.
Okay.
But it'll be about bottle flipping.
Huh. I like it. Seems epic. I like to think that they like never even fucking come close, but it's like this big dramatic like.
It'll be like
swelling.
Rudy.
Huh?
It'll be kind of like Rudy, where there's Rudy like. Is interesting because there's not a lot of like big stakes to it. The main character, Sean Astin, he's not good at football.
Yeah.
He only wants to like play in like one game, and he does. Like it's pretty small stakes. It'll kind of be like that. I think.
Okay.
It'll be like this really big, like hopeful movie, but at the end of the day, he just makes like $100 a night instead of like $5.
Oh,
but
nice.
he's like I found success.
Okay.
So yeah, the best movie ever made.
Epic.
All right. Let us begin. 1986. October 10th. A little movie came out called True Stories. David Byrne, the guy from fucking The Talking Heads, made this movie. It's kind of like an anthology, I guess. No, it's more of like a vignette-based story. There's a lot of little vignettes that tie together into like a parade and then like talent show, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So David Byrne, he's in a big hat and he narrates the story. He talks about a small town in Texas, I think?
Virgil, Texas.
Virgil, Texas, which is about to celebrate its celebration of specialness for its 150th anniversary.
Specialness.
Specialness.
Yeah, they always like kind of space it out.
Specialness. Yeah, there's a lot of funny cadences in this, especially from David Byrne.
Yeah, this movie...
Marshmallow.
If you like this movie, you will love Twin Peaks.
Good.
This movie had like the tone of Twin Peaks like written all over it. Just kind of like Twin Peaks, although it takes place in the Northwest, has that kind of like weird Southern hospitality feel to everyone.
So Twin Peaks is a more sinister show, right?
It's David Lynch, so it's like a blend of like every genre. He wants to make you feel every emotion. So there will be like scenes.
I want to make you calm.
There will be scenes where you'll be like, this is like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then there are other scenes where you're like, oh, this is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen. Right.
Yeah, so David Byrne drives around this town talking about the people, and occasionally he's not actually driving, and he's just moving the wheel like this.
Yeah. There's like one scene where the wheel is
He's just like
spazzing the fuck out.
Yeah, I laughed so hard at that.
And the fucking like blue background they have. It's like, oh my gosh. Is that supposed to pass for a real sky?
No. David Byrne.
It's got like the quality of like one of the old Resident Evil games on PS1 where it's just like, it feels very uncanny valley.
I guarantee that was
probably very intentional.
Yeah.
Like I said,
David Byrne does remind me of David Lynch in a lot of ways. They even kind of have the same hair now. Like, well, not the same, but they kind of look the same now.
Yeah. This fucking movie, though. It's like I made the mistake of getting a little high before I started. This is David Byrne
now.
He has like the fucking swoop that Lynch does. So for like the first 20 minutes, I was like, "What the fuck?" But
Joe watched with me. He just kept saying, "What the fuck is going on?"
It was great though. I think I can say I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
The dialogue in this movie is pretty fucking great throughout. So John Goodman plays one of the main characters. He plays Lewis. Yeah, Lewis
the bear.
Lewis Fine. And he's a country guy. He loves to sing, but he's looking for love.
Yeah. So he puts an ad out on TV.
He puts like ads out on TV. He tries online dating. Like just throughout the whole thing, he's trying to find love. When the ad came on TV, I laughed so loud. Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm looking for love.
Yeah, because the first time we see him, he's working in his job, which is
a bunch of people work at Vericorp, which is like this big corporation that kind of controls the town.
Yeah. And he basically explains, he's like, I love this job, but there's one thing I love more than this job, and that's the ladies. Not that I'm like a sex fiend or anything. I'm just looking for that special one, you know? And kind of like
it cuts to his house at one point, and there's a sign out front that says "Wife wanted."
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. But yeah, he's just a guy looking to build a relationship with someone.
Yeah, he's a great character.
Yeah.
There's also this guy named Earl Culver, and there's Kay Culver. They're kind of central in some of the scenes, because it's vignettes. But,
yeah.
Earl's like a civic leader, and Kay's like an announcer lady. Like she runs like a bunch of things as well. She does like a big fashion show. The fashion show is so funny.
Yeah, because the fashion show scene was great because, her husband is the guy who brought, like, the LexaCorp into the town.
Yeah, Vericorp.
Or Vericorp. What did I say, LexaCorp?
Yeah.
What is that from?
Is that LexCorp? No, LexaCorp.
I might be getting it mixed up with, like, fucking Lex Luthor's company. I don't know. Too many goddamn corporations. But, that fashion show scene was like...
It's funny because the very first ones were like, okay, these are fine. And then it's like, okay, now they're just wearing raincoats. And I'm like, oh, now they're dressed as bushes.
Yeah.
And they're dressed as bricks now. And then there's people with like giant hats coming up. And then somebody like falls over.
Yeah, and she has like the Bernie Sanders reaction. She was like, oh!
I was like, did she die? No, she was fine, apparently.
Yeah.
And it's great because Kay Culver and Earl and her husband don't speak to each other.
Not directly.
Yeah, they literally go, can you talk to their daughter? And they're like, hey, daughter, can you talk to your mom and ask her how we're doing? And this is all at a dinner scene that
and it's not
David Byrne's at, and he's just like staring at them doing this.
Yeah, and it's like you would expect it to be like very like malice, like, hey, can you tell your mother that she's kind of a bitch or something like that? Like, maybe not
It's
that
like,
extreme,
yeah, I was expecting that, but they're just like really nice to each other, but it's like, but they refuse to talk to
and
each
it's like
other.
weird. I'm kind of curious. And then the dad goes on like the spiel about like, no more weekends. Weekends are dead. Like the death of like the old like work system and how humans enjoy evolving and creating new things and yada yada. This movie is definitely a movie I want to watch again because I was, like I said, I was kind of high when I was watching it, and they were laying out like a lot of like shit involving like American culture, and I was like, so I couldn't
funny
tell.
Is there actually is kind of a sinister tone behind this film.
Yeah, no, it's definitely making some commentary, but there are some parts where like I couldn't tell if it was because I was high and maybe I just didn't catch everything, but it seemed like sometimes it seemed like they were gonna build up to saying something, and then it just kind of like teeters out, and it's like, wait, was that it? And I almost wonder if that was like intentional.
I think so. I think it's more like David Byrne wants to be like, hey, the truth is right there. Like, you just need to like put the pieces together in a way.
Yeah, and it kind of makes like sense because I feel like a lot of people, especially like Americans, will like start saying something and they'll kind of be on the right path, and then they'll just like take 2 steps, and then they'll kind of like just be like, all right, I made it. Here I am. I've made my point. It's like, wait, you could have gone a little further.
Yeah.
Made that point much better. It's like, but we're lazy and we just kind of like that whole like no more weekends thing. I thought it was going to build into something a bit more, and then it's just like, the weekends are dead, and then the scene ends. I'm like, wait, was that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I feel it. There's also Miss Rawlings. She's very rich, and she lies in bed all day long.
Yes.
Like she hasn't left the house in like years or something. and she just lies there watching TV, and she has like a robot that walks in, and she has like a spoon that feeds her, like a mechanical spoon.
Yeah, no, she was certainly an interesting character. And then there's like the pathological liar.
Yeah, she's literally just credited as the lying woman. And all she does is just lie. And like in every scene she'll show up and she'll just say something.
And it's like, I've known pathological liars. Usually they'll lie about like really small things that would be hard to like spot the lie if you like didn't know them. But she's just like, I dated like Elvis once, or I wrote.
I used to be with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah,
and he was gonna leave Hollywood for me.
But I said, I need all your money, Burt,
and he was gonna give it to me.
Yeah. It's just like, oh my gosh, you're just like really go big or go home. Lewis, there's like a scene where he goes on a date with her, and at first it seems like he's trying to be like really nice, but the more she talks, the more he's just like, oh man, I have made a fucking mistake here. He's got like this big fake smile.
I do like Lewis because he is kind of a womanizer, like in the sense that he is just like, he's like, no, I need a woman. But he's always nice to all the women he dates, even if they don't get along with him.
I don't really get like necessarily the womanizer. I feel like he's just a lonely guy who's trying, maybe a little bit.
I feel like he's just a little too obsessed with women, I would say.
Yeah, he's a little too desperate.
I need love.
Which, I mean, as soon as he found it, hopefully he was satisfied and just checked out. But we don't really see too much beyond his final arc of the film. But
then there's Mr. Tucker, which is Miss Rowling's like assistant man. Yeah. And then he's also like a voodoo practitioner on the side. And he's like, okay, Lewis, I'm going to help you find love. And he like does a ritual. And he's like, okay, now you're going to find it. Yeah. Drink what does he say? He's drink 1 soda water a day, drink half, and then pour the rest out.
Yeah, something like
He
that.
just says something, and Louis is like, okay. And then Ramon, who's like a Mexican singer, and he also he's like, I can read your tones, man.
Yeah.
And then he'll just pull on people's like noses while holding the back of their head.
Yeah. That guy was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I remember his like intro scene, and I was like, at first it seemed like kind of like a little harmless flirting, and then he was getting more handsy, and I was like, whoa, dude, back off. And then he started singing. I was like, all right, I'm kind of okay with it. Oh, we've got a visitor.
It's Joe.
I know, it's Joe.
Forgot your keys.
Yep. Got the door locked, and I'm like, wait a minute.
And then the only other really prominent character is the preacher. The conspiracy theorist guy,
Yeah.
who like shows up and he has this church and he's like, they're doing it. ABC, CBS.
Yeah. He talks and he tells like this whole story about like God and how he was like, built the earth. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna make these like cool mountains and shit. But tomorrow, I'm going to go to sleep tonight. And then when he came back, like, the next day, it had all hardened, so it was just a bunch of flat land. So he was like, I know. God will just make people who like it this way. And that's just how it ends, and it's just like, oh. Huh. Okay. Cool.
Oh, those are so... The plot's kind of hard to even describe, because really all it is David Byrne saying something, it shows a small little story about someone else, cuts back to David Byrne.
Yeah.
And we pretty much described all the stories already.
Yeah, basically, the main story is like Lewis's, like aside from David Byrne's character, I would probably call him the other main character, if not.
I could even maybe describe Lewis as the main character,
I was gonna say,
and David Byrne just kind of as like an outside force.
Yeah.
Like to the point that David Byrne doesn't even have it. Like his character, I don't think even has a name.
Yeah, I don't think so. He might, but I never caught it. But yeah, so basically, Louis looking for love. He's gone on some dates. They haven't turned out very well. Like, he goes on his date with this one woman, and she seems nice. She's like, oh, I don't think there's enough sweetness in the world. And her house is, like, covered in fucking, like, rainbows and, like, all sorts of, like, fluffy, just sugary, sugar spice, everything nice kind of shit.
John Goodman's like, I love music.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is John Goodman, this final part of the film is going to be this, like, big talent show kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've been making a song for it. Do you want to hear a bit of it? And I had seen, like, stills from this. Like, I had always seen John Goodman in this suit, and I never knew what this, like, still was from, and it was from this. I'm like, oh. And
he horribly...
He like, he sings so badly at this point.
Yeah, he sings
like,
badly, and he's like trying to like sing the instrumental along
and he
with
doesn't know all the lyrics. At one point, he's like, I haven't made up this lyric yet.
Yeah.
And that's like the second line.
Yeah, and then, like, after the song, she's basically like, wow, that was really sad. I don't think I could spend my life with someone this sad. Are
you sad? He's like, maybe I am. I like sad songs. I'm like, wow, that's relatable.
I don't really feel sad, but I guess I like sad songs that make me want to lay on the floor.
I'm like, that's relatable.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, well, I guess I'll go.
Bye.
And then, yeah, basically he goes up and he performs the song much better.
Yeah, I was
really
a big fan.
Fucking really liked the song.
Yeah, people like us I didn't know it was from this movie, but like I knew it was a song and I was a fan of it before. Yeah, it's a great song.
I've never heard it before, so.
People echo.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he does a really good job. It's got like that kind of like it's kind of a sad song, but it's got like that kind of like big, happy energy to it.
Yeah, and it has a more hopeful tone as well.
And, he actually wrote the lyrics, my papa couldn't afford anything or whatever.
Ford is... Yeah, I think anything.
It's something like, I was born in 50, papa couldn't afford much, but he basically said we're two of a kind, people like us who answer the telephone.
Answer the telephone. And all at this time, Miss Rawlings, who's been like watching TV this whole time, and had seen this ad, like he starts to sing, and her bed starts coming up. She's like, and that was great. Just
and then we get the scene where for the first time she gets out of bed a little bit, and then
it cuts to them getting married.
Yep, and they're like, where? Yeah, because he calls it like immediately as soon as he gets off stage. Someone's like, "Oh, the phone for you, Lewis," and he's like, "Oh, hello." Yeah, oh, okay. And then they get married, and then they're like, where are you going for your honeymoon? And she's like, Lewis is staying in bed with me. And it's just like, well, sweet, I guess.
I'd lay in bed all day, too, if I could.
Yeah.
I did for like a month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And before that, we had like a big parade. That was the celebration of specialness. And that was great as well. Like the lawnmower brigade.
Yeah.
And then the guys in tiny little cars. And they didn't... The funniest part about that is they didn't highlight that they were tiny cars. They're like, they're in Mustang or whatever. And they're like, but look at that! They're driving with one hand!
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the film.
Yeah.
Like, there are just a lot of small little stories that are just, like, fun.
Yeah. There's, like...
Like, one of the first big scenes is they're all... Like, an ensemble scenes is they're all at a nightclub. And
and they have...
They're singing Wild Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great as well. The people, like, doing funny little dances.
One of my favorite little, just, like, one-off scenes is when David Byrne is driving. He's like... I thought of a funny difference between American and European cities, but I forgot it.
Yeah.
I have it written at home, though. It's just like, that's it. That's that part.
It. I feel like David Byrne probably actually did that when he was just like, fuck, I had something to put in the movie. Oh, you know what I was talking about, though.
Yeah. It's just...
Yeah, and I like I said, I like the Talking Heads music, so I was a fan of all the musical numbers in the movie.
I wonder how this movie was, like, received when it came out. Probably not well, if I guessed.
Well, I mean, a lot of the people that watched it were Talking Heads fans.
Yeah.
It wasn't a commercial success.
Yeah, more of a cult. Because I know that's...
Yeah, it has achieved success in home video release as a cult classic among fans of Talking Heads. But... yeah, it got, like, pretty mixed reviews. Roger Ebert really liked it.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I pretty much... I really dug the entire movie. Like, it's nothing, like, God tier or anything, but I really enjoyed pretty much every minute of the movie.
Yeah, no.
I really like the character interactions between, like, Lewis and David Byrne when they're talking to each other. And also, like, Lewis just... This is really great, because this was John Goodman's, like...
Yeah.
One of his first, like, big roles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was, like, random people. Like, he played a random character in Chud. And he was in, like, random roles, but... And then this helped lead the way for him to be in, like, Raising Arizona, like, a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And
this is one of my favorite roles of his as well.
Shortly after, he was in Roseanne, and then he really blew up.
And then he was just, like... Yeah, I love John Goodman, so...
Yeah, no, he's good actor.
I love him in, like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, yeah.
And, like, he's really good in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, he
really
is.
Fucking scary, man. I want to see him in more horror films.
Yeah.
Before he dies.
Yeah,
I mean, he's only 67, so.
Yeah, but...
He's a bigger guy.
I think he recently got it all sucked out though, because I think he's skinnier now.
I just mean like bigger, like taller as well.
Oh,
and tall people.
Well, he for a couple years though, he was pretty
very overweight for a while. Yeah.
When he was in The Gambler, like some of the scenes where he's like in the sauna in that movie, I was like, oh my god, is that real? Like typically I don't have that reaction, but
yeah,
I'm used to seeing him in a more
yeah, because like even an old brother were out there, he's like bigger.
Yeah, because he's always been like a husky guy, but he's never been like.
It's kind of the endearing part. Like even like I like the thing he talks about in this movie. He's like,
I maintain a panda bear shape,
and I'm proud of my body, and I don't want to change it.
Yeah.
No, I love the cadence of pretty much everyone in this movie. They're just fun. And yeah, it's just kind of a groovy time while also having like a more sinister tone in some of its like ideas that it introduces. Like they talk about how Vericorp like came in and it's great for everybody. It's kind of like there's no weekends, and they drove out a bunch of other businesses, and they talk about how people will just go wherever. Yeah, there's a deal, even if it drives out like local. Mm-hmm. So. Exactly.
Yeah, I wonder if that was like part of the intention of the film, is like to give it this like actually by definition Lynchian feel to it, because it's got like this very dreamlike, very like whimsical, enchanting like Americana on top of it that's meant to be like very enticing, and you're like, oh, I like this, but it kind of shows hints of its like darker underbelly that's underneath.
I mean, I would say that that's like the Talking Heads are pretty like avant-garde for like 80s mainstream music. Like
yeah,
like, there's some
I've heard some of their poppy songs, and I've like I said that Give Me Back My Name song, that's got some pretty like cryptic.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of, like, even, like, Wild Wild Life. Like, if you, like, there's some, like, a lot of the songs in this are, like, what are you trying to say here?
Yeah.
That's why I like the Talking Heads. Because everything kind of feels like a puzzle as well. And
have you seen that Kermit the Frog music video that's Talking Heads, where it's like...
I don't think so.
I don't...
But a lot of the music videos for Talking Heads are kind of the same way. So I do think like that's why I think this film feels so Lynchian, because like they're so experimental in their music making. So what else was I gonna talk about? Oh, and I totally forgot. Radiohead named themselves after the song Radiohead from this movie.
Okay. I was curious. I was like, oh.
I can't remember if the song came out, because there was a joint soundtrack that was like released around the same time. I can't remember if it came out before or after the movie. So
okay,
but that's pretty cool, because I do like Radiohead. Anyway, what did you give the movie?
Well, 7.
I gave it an 8. I think it's mostly because I like funny cadences. That really drives. I'm like, yes, I want more characters to be strange.
Like I said, man, Twin Peaks.
Yeah, no,
you're gonna love it.
Like I said, I do want to watch pretty much all of his other stuff first. I want Twin Peaks to be my last thing.
It's fair.
All right, so 7.5. Prometheus.
All right. This is a movie I like. London seemed to have at least liked it too.
Yeah. I did like it.
A lot of people don't like this movie. This movie, I'd say, at least from what I've seen, is overwhelmingly hated by most people, because people generally like nitpick a lot of like the more technical like details of the film, like.
I think maybe like more like mainstream moviegoers are fine with it. I think it's like diehard fans of the Alien franchise, or when people like are like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah, no, that was like the big backlash when it initially came out, was like everyone, because it was advertised to people as like an Alien prequel instead of more of its own thing.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, well, what the fuck? That wasn't anything like Alien. I didn't like that. And then the people who were fine with it being its own thing were like, well, some of the characters made some like weird decisions.
And I'm like, yeah, just like an alien.
I swear, it seems like everyone's fucking main critique of this movie is that they run like straight forward.
Now, I remember that, and I'm just like, but they don't. I was like watching them, like they literally go to the side, but there's literally things falling everywhere.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it, like, realistically, if a giant spaceship is falling on you, and from the character's perspective, I bet if they were to look,
it just looks like it's falling everywhere.
They would just probably see just the ship.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I don't know what direction to run. And then...
Also, just the shock value of, like, just run. I was surprised they even could run at certain points.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't have an issue. I was like, that's fine.
But, yeah, so...
I remember having the same issue when I was fucking, I don't know, 16 when it came out or whatever. Because I saw it, but it's the same thing. I, like, barely remembered it. I think I saw it on TV or something.
And then everyone also says that, like, I just don't think it's realistic that she would be doing all that running after, you know, the abort or the cesarean. And it's just like, I see your point with that, but they make it seem like she does a lot more running than she does.
Yeah.
Because she really only runs in 2 scenes post-cesarean, and that's when she's running from A, the engineer, and B, the ship.
Also, it's not like she's just running as like a little jog. She's literally going to die.
Yeah.
You know how much fucking adrenaline you would have?
Exactly. So it's like, I can maybe see the critique, but personally I'm able to like...
I have other problems with the film.
I've got problems with this film.
That are not like little nitpicks like that. I also have the problems that Pierre has with this film that we'll talk about.
Okay.
So I think they're actually like good. Sometimes Pierre has good critiques, you know, when he's not just being a fucking meanie butt.
Yeah. So this movie begins on Earth long ago, before there's any life on Earth. It's just a planet, and the spaceship drops off. A martyr of sorts who's there to drink this liquid and basically kind of like sacrifice himself into the water to put the building blocks for life there.
Mm-hmm. One thing I will say is I do like the design of the engineer.
Yeah, I
like
think
when they don't have the mask on, I like that they're like pretty human-like, but just bigger and kind of have different like nose bridges.
Yeah, I like it because it reminds me of like a lot of like the like old like Greek art or like kind of like Greek
which is
statues
literally
where
what
like,
it's.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's called Prometheus.
So I like that. Plus, I mean, with the whole revelation that literally humans are just like an offshoot of them, like they have like the same genetic makeup. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, so then we flash forward to Scotland in like, I think it's like 2089.
2089.
Something like that.
Because then it goes to like 2093 or something like that.
Yeah, they shoot up.
Yeah,
like
2089.
2 years.
One nitpick. It's not like a biggest thing, but it's definitely a problem I have with this movie and with Aliens. It wasn't as big in Alien. I really don't like when like future movies, they're just wearing regular clothes from like right now. Because when you look at it, like if you look 30 years ago, we weren't wearing the same clothes.
Yeah.
If you look 100 years ago, we definitely weren't wearing the same clothes. I understand that it's hard to design clothes that don't exist yet, but I just want them to wear something different. They were literally just like, I could go to Target and get all of the costumes.
Yeah. It's always like a weird, like kind of like catch-22 with that, with like sci-fi movies.
It's either going to look cheesy and weird or, you know.
Yeah. I think the best approach is always when they take something that looks like modern and they like spice it up or find things that are like similar to it. That way it looks different but similar enough at the same time where it doesn't look
but literally they're just wearing regular things. It was more of an issue with Aliens, I think, because that was even more in the future. And I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
Because it looks like they took even more of a step back than in the first Alien.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, plus like their shit is like totally analog.
Yeah.
Which I actually kind of like that when they did that Alien Isolation video game.
It's a good game.
Yeah, I like it. It keeps making me motion sick whenever I play it though. So I can't play it for long periods of time. Yeah.
Is it the motion blur of it? You might be able to turn that off. I know a lot of games you can.
Yeah, I need to like see if I can tinker with the settings, but yeah, it's because like it's first person and the characters bobbing around and shit.
VR.
I'm not. But I feel like it'd be less of a problem in VR because I'd feel like I'm controlling the bobs at least. But
yeah,
maybe not.
I know some people that get like super motion sick after like 2 minutes of VR. So
I've done a little bit of VR because my friend Reno had the Vive, and I tried that out. But yeah, so they find this like cave painting that dates back a millennium before like any other paintings they have that have
3,500 years or
something like that. I didn't take too much note of it because I didn't think it was like that important. But basically, paintings all over the world, cultures, that were split apart by time, distance, who would have had no communication, but they all have this constellation painted in them. So they're like, all right, obviously there's some deep shit going on with like human history, and it has to do with this constellation. Someone wants us to go there. So we go onto the ship, and there we meet David.
David's my favorite character.
Yeah, David's my favorite character too. I think he's like the most interesting character for sure.
The characters I actually like in this movie, like
I have 4 that I really like quite a bit, and then the other characters are kind of like meh.
What are the 4 you like?
I like David, I like Shaw, I like Vickers, and I like the captain.
That's about. I don't know if I like Shaw. Because she's very dumb. But that's probably about where. I don't know if I like Vickers. Like, I don't know if I really like those two. I like parts of them. I think they're pretty good.
I think they both.
But the captain's really cool. Idris Elba. Yeah. I also like his two
his two
I wish they had more scenes because I like their play together and stuff.
Yeah. I wish this movie was just like a smidgen longer. I know it's already 2 hours, but I feel like this movie would have been a nice 2.5 hours. Especially when you find out some of the stuff that they cut from it that would have made it make a little more sense. Like, I don't know if it was in the script or a deleted scene. I just read a little bit about it, but what are the two guys? The archaeologist and the scientist.
The ones
the two that get lost in the cave.
It's
something Field and
Fifield and fucking.
I want to say it starts with a W, but I can't remember. But yeah, so
Milburn. Fifield and Milburn.
Okay.
Milburn. Rafe. That guy's Rafe Spall. I wish he was in this movie more because I like that actor a lot. He's he's one of the main guys in White Christmas, the Black Mirror episode.
Oh, okay.
He's also in other stuff, but I couldn't. I was like, he looks familiar, and he's the son of the guy who plays Peter Pettigrew in Harry Potter. Fucking the rat guy.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Ron's pet.
Yeah.
Just what the fuck is going on?
Interesting. But they're... Okay. So, in the film, we're jumping a little bit ahead here. But there's, the scene where they, meet, the proto-face hugger snake. That's, in the water. Or the, black ooze. And he just kind of goes up to it, and he's like, hey, don't worry, I got this. And it doesn't make any sense, and you're like, why the fuck is this character doing this? This is stupid. But there's a deleted scene, or it's in the script. I don't know which one, like I said. I just
is he an animal specialist, or?
Yeah, so when they first enter that tomb with everyone before they run off, there was I guess it would have been in the original script, but there's a scene where he finds these little worms in there, and it's he's like, I've done it. I've discovered the first living alien life or whatever, and he kind of gets an ego boost, and he's like, I got this, and it kind of adds some logic to that scene. Plus, he's always trying to impress Wayfield, is that his name? Summerfield. Milburn and Fifield, that's what it is. He's always trying to impress Fifield, so maybe he was like trying to show, like, yeah, I'm cool. I found that life before. I'll handle this space snake. So like that, yeah, that's like kind of a dumb scene that I felt like if they'd had that one little bit, it would have actually made a bit more sense.
Like I didn't mind the scene. It's just like. It's even one thing to put your face closer because it looks like this thing's like pretty protective for the most part.
Yeah,
but like their hands are like literally it just looks like there's just a piece of cloth over them. And I'm like, I wouldn't fucking put my hand next to them.
I wouldn't have gone back to that room because they're like, because the captain was like, oh, 1 click west, life. Oh, it's gone. And they're like, well, let's not go over there. But then they go over there. And it's like,
what the fuck are you guys doing? Okay, so going back.
Yeah, so
they find the life.
Well,
they find the portraits.
Yeah, they find the portraits, and then we get onto the ship where we see David, and David's just kind of, he's killing time. He's an android, but
they don't reveal that really until. Like, they just make him seem like a weirdo for a second. Until he wakes everybody up.
Yeah.
He's just kind of watching, like, movies from, like, the 40s.
Yeah, he watches, his favorite movie is Lawrence of Arabia. And he even, like, dyes his hair like the main character in the movie. And it's insinuating that he, despite being an android, he
has feelings.
Yeah, he's human.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the question that Blade Runner asks, It's not about if the main character is a human or not, but if he has memories, he has feelings, he can think, does it even matter? Like, he's obviously got some form of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what they hint at with David. And, they kind of like, the people don't really seem to get that. Like, I don't know, if I was on this ship and I was, like, talking to David, I feel like I'd show him, like, the love and affection he deserves. I'd be like, whoa, dude, you're cool. I like you. Like, what? You're a robot, but you got, like, you're very human. I'm interested. I want to learn more about you.
One of the biggest issues, I'm like, why are they all just fucking dicks?
Yeah, they're
especially Holloway.
Yeah, Holloway's
like, what the fuck is wrong with
Holloway's, like, straight up fucking robot racist. Like,
yeah.
He is an asshole. And it's like... to the point where I don't even feel bad for what happens to him, really. Because it's just like, dude, you are just fucking bigoted towards this spot. But, yeah, so... he kills time, he plays, like, basketball on a bike, he learns a bunch of languages, he watches movies.
He watches people's dreams.
Yeah, he watches specifically Shaw's dreams, and I really like this scene because basically he, like, just decides to check out Shaw's dream, and we get this, like, flashback to when she's, like, a little girl, but it's got, like, all this, like, digital static over top of it. And she's basically, like... I don't know exactly where they are, but it's not white people land. So they're obviously, like, from a different culture, and she sees...
It's not white people land. Well, it's revealed later that her dad got Ebola.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Because... theoretically, her dad would have gotten Ebola in, like, 2070, and I doubt that the disease will still exist by that point.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just like, why would you date your movie so hard?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
But, yeah, so... basically, she's like, oh, why aren't you helping, like, these people carry their body? Or, this person's body, and... he's basically like, well, they probably wouldn't want my help because we believe in different gods. She's like, oh, okay. And then they kind of, like, get into the idea of heaven. He's basically like, oh, I think, despite what, version of the afterlife you're learning about, it's always described as beautiful, so I think it's going to be beautiful. And she's like, well, why do you think that? And he's like, well, because I choose to believe. It's like, oh, that's stupid, but...
this movie's...
Ridley Scott, I don't know if you know this about him, he is super anti-religious.
Well, yeah, I don't understand how anyone could watch this movie and not see the very big Christian themes of it.
Yeah. Even more so with biblical references and Alien Covenant, like more specifically.
Okay, so by the end of it, I have a couple things to talk about with this movie. Okay. With biblical stuff, because, you know, they talk, well, and even like Prometheus, the ship Prometheus was, you know, someone that...
Yeah, who, you know...
helped the
gave humans fire and...
pretty much like, naming his own ship Prometheus is ridiculing the gods itself.
Mm-hmm. But...
No, I like it. I think Ridley Scott's a little too edgy about the way he approaches his anti-religion stuff occasionally.
Yeah. He also didn't write the script for this.
But it feels like he's like, I need you to put this in.
Yeah.
I need you... No, now what if it's called Prometheus?
But, yeah, and as soon as, like, her dream starts to end, she, like, looks over and you can see, like, David staring at her, but he's, like... You know, there's like a lot of like digital glitching over his face, so it's like you can't really see his face, but you know it's David because of what he's wearing and his, you know, it's fucking obviously. I am blanking on his name. Michael
Fassbender.
Yeah, it's obviously like Michael Fassbender's body standing there. So it's.
I was a little worried because I know that Michael Fassbender's like a good actor in a lot of bad things. So I'm like, is this going to be bad? But you know, like I said, I did enjoy Prometheus.
He does great in this movie, and
is he good in Covenant? I know you're not a fan of Covenant, but
I think Covenant has one good thing about it, and it is David, and. Technically, he plays, a minor spoiler, he plays two different androids in that movie. One named David and one...
Walter,
yeah.
I had seen that when I went to the Covenant, I'm like...
And there's
the fuck is Walter?
There's a little gay Michael Fassbender on Michael Fassbender. It's kind of shit that goes on in that one.
Are you sure that's not a masterpiece of a film?
Everything around it is garbage.
Besides the gay stuff?
Besides the Michael Fassbender stuff, yes. But yeah, no, I like literally everything outside of that in that movie though, I got nothing from. I was like, oh wow, this is all like just the thing I dislike about it most. I'm just gonna say up here without spoiling it, because I saw this movie when I was in middle school. I went and saw it in theaters, and I loved it, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait for the sequel because I love the note this film leaves off on.
You were 15 when this movie came out.
I was in like 8th grade. Or it might have been like summer of 8th grade.
Oh, probably.
But, so I guess it was like right before I went into high school. But, yeah. But I remember for years I was just like, I can't wait for the fucking sequel. And then, of course, because nobody liked Prometheus, Ridley Scott got offended. He's like, fine, you guys want another Alien movie? I'll give you another Alien movie! And then he made Prometheus sequel an Alien movie. And he basically threw everything I liked about Prometheus, with the exception of David, into the fucking trash. And I was like, oh, well, I don't like that.
This is why you shouldn't listen to fans. If they don't like a movie, who the fuck cares? Just make it. Make a movie for yourself. Nobody likes it, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, if you're going to make a sequel to this movie that nobody liked, at least cater to the people who did actually like it. But no, I guess not.
Alright, so he reads her mind, then he wakes everybody up. He actually, Vickers wakes up on her own. I don't know if it was set on like a timer or something.
Yeah.
But she wakes up, she's... like, it's not really explained. She looks like a commander of sorts, but it's not really explained her position for a bit. Mm-hmm. But then he wakes everybody up. Everybody's having a real tough time, especially Shaw. Shaw's like throwing up. She's like, she's like hyperventilating, and David's just like, stop. David's just like, you just need to calm down. And they go into this big room. A fucking hologram comes out, and he's like, I'm Peter Whalen, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm fucking old, and if you're seeing this message, I'm dead.
Yep.
And he talks about how...
He talks about Prometheus a little bit.
Yeah, he talks about the god Prometheus. And he's like, now you're on the ship, see? See what I did there?
Yes.
And then he introduces those two scientists. They talk about their discovery. They talk about how, like, these different ancient cultures from all over Earth, like, divided by centuries and thousands of years.
On the podcast when we did the paintings.
I'm just doing it again.
Okay.
Because we're going in order. I
Sure.
don't want to confuse people.
All right.
And then it shows, like, a map to this star system that's, like, no human could have seen with the naked eye. And it just happens to have a sun that could, support life. And, like, this specific moon, I think it is, I don't even think it's a planet, could support human life. So they go there.
Yeah.
And Vickers, it's introduced that she's kind of, like, from that company. She's not necessarily a power on the ship, but she's a power from the people that are funding the mission.
She's part of the Whalen Corporation.
Idris Elba plays, like, the captain dude. He's very cool. I like his character a lot. And, they kind of just goof around for a bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just kind of goofing around until they get there.
I like this movie because I don't know why, but I always feel like Idris Elba and Charlize Theron would be, like, best friends in real life. Like, kind of like a...
I get that. I don't know why.
Like, kind of like Scarlett Johansson, like, oh, fuck, what's the name of him? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Chris Evans?
Chris Evans. I was like, Chris Hemsworth, that's not right.
No, that's him over there.
Yeah. But, like, how they have, like, that, like, the friendship. I picture, like, Idris Elba and Charlize Theron having that type of friendship. They might not, I don't know, but...
It's kind of really scary watching this movie because the last Idris Elba movie I watched was Cats. So I just kept seeing him as a giant fucking scary cat.
I think the last thing I saw him in, honestly, was, the fucking...
What, Infinity War?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, because he hasn't been in anything else.
Yeah, he was in
I've
Cats. He was in,
He was in The Dark Tower, but I didn't watch that.
Dude, I should pick The Dark Tower!
No, I would veto it because I want to read the book before I watch the movie.
You and your fucking vetoes.
I only do it with stuff I want to read first. I'm sorry. But I usually reserve them for, like, very, like, things that I'm like, oh, no, I can't. And I'm a pretty big Stephen King fan, so I couldn't do The Dark Tower like that.
Next week, we have Stephen King on the podcast.
Whoa. But yeah, so basically, like, right before Holloway and Shaw are about to, like, go and explore, Vickers is like, hey, we need to talk real quick. And she basically goes, you, like, see any sign of life, don't talk to it, come find me. And like, wait, you're not going to permit us, like, permission to talk to it? What the fuck was even the point of us coming here? She's like, look, we're not
Whalen
following...
was just superstitious.
Yeah. And she's like, look, we're not following your agenda. You didn't pay for this voyage. I did. Or my company did. So fuck you. You're going to do what I say. So they're like, well, that's fucking stupid. So they get off the ship and they go to this cave. And they explore around. And in said cave, they find that it's got an atmosphere with oxygen cleaner than Earth's, and then
they were just immediately like, let's take off our helmets!
Yeah, and, yeah, that's it.
See, this part wasn't as annoying to me at first.
Because they're not...
Well, it's specifically also first just Holloway that does it.
Yeah.
But then they all immediately follow him after like 5 seconds. They're like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, you don't know like the long-term effects of him breathing this.
They do a way worse, like... Because this is also like one of the major critiques I saw for the film pretty often when it came out. And then like, it's like Ridley Scott doubled down on the idea of them just taking off their helmets when they get on alien planets. Because in Alien
They're
Covenant...
just like, we're just going to not wear helmets in space now. No.
Yeah, because they do like the same thing in Alien Covenant, but it's like much more over the top.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to spoil Alien Covenant for you, so I'm trying to like.
We should have just watched both.
No,
Just kidding.
like I said,
Never wanna
I'm
watch
never
Covenant.
watching Alien Covenant again. I might watch like maybe clips of Michael Fassbender in it, but aside from that,
Do you think there's going to be a third?
He's said that he plans on making a third, but I don't think it's been like it's not in pre-production or anything currently. But then again, it took him like 6 years to make the sequel to this. So
See it.
or I guess
I mean,
5.
really, that would only be 2 years from now.
Yeah, it might be on like
Years fly by and it freaks me out.
yes. Years start coming and they don't stop coming.
Fed the rules and I hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't blow.
Hey
now.
Okay. But yeah, so they send out like these little like scanner ball things that like shoot like infrared lasers.
Red lasers. They
You know, basically like map out the place, and then they see holograms of like just this fucking thing
huge dudes like running.
and they're like, "Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, follow it!" And they follow it, and they follow it to a door where they see that
It gets decapitated.
Yeah.
And then there's just a body laying there.
So they open up the room.
First they use a carbon reader to be like, oh, this has been dead for like 2,000 years.
Yeah. So then Fifield is like, fuck this, man. I like rocks. And he gets like real up close in Shaw's face. And he's like, I didn't come here to fucking find E.T. or whatever the fuck he says. I don't know. He's very, very emotional in this scene. And I like how Holloway is just like watching all this go down. Like literally this dude's like up in his girlfriend's face screaming. And obviously it's not gonna like resort to violence, but I'd be like, yo dude, take a step back at least if you're gonna yell at my girlfriend's face. But then he's just like, you need to get a grip, man, like as he's walking away. But basically him and Fifield split from the group because Holloway, or fuck, I'm getting my names mixed up. So after Fifield yells at Shaw...
Yeah, he's like, I'm a geologist! I love rocks!
Yeah, so then he splits off with...
I thought that line was really funny.
Yeah.
The way he's like, I love rocks, and that's not a rock!
Yeah. And then Milburn follows after him like the little puppy he is. So they split from the group, and then the rest of them check out like this room and find the head of the alien guy that got his head cut off. And they check out the room. There's like a giant fucking like head sculpture. Yeah. There's like a bunch of like these like little black like lava lamp shaped things.
Yeah, they're like vases kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there's also like there's murals on the top of the like ceiling.
Yeah.
And then there's also like a giant fucking xenomorph in like a Christ pose.
Yeah. And
it's like a statue. It's not an actual xenomorph.
It's like a
But then they realize they're like, guys, the atmosphere in here changed and it's changing everything.
Yeah,
so they like see the murals start doing that, and like some of the vases have like a black goo that starts to form, and David's just like. He just quietly takes one of the vases.
Yeah, just
puts
scoops it up in a bag.
Freezes it and puts it in a bag.
And then they're like, David, we're leaving!
But they grab the head. They're like, we can take the head.
Yeah.
They grab it and they leave because there's a
giant
storm coming.
So they just... Vickers is a bitch, and she's like, alright, I'm closing the door in 15 minutes. If you're not here, you're dead.
So they get out and they're driving, and I like the aesthetic, like the look of this scene. It reminds me more of like Mad Max Fury Road than anything.
Yeah.
But
and then right as they hit the Prometheus, like there's like a bump,
and Shaw like drops her fucking head.
So she freaks out, jumps
after it.
Yeah, and then she gets like immediately swept up by the storm. And this is one of my favorite scenes because it's like. I feel like more space movies need to have scenes like this when they land on planets, because I feel like most planets in space, whenever I learn about them, they're always like, yeah, but don't think about going there because there's always just giant fucking storms going on, like Jupiter. Like, you can see the fucking storms. And it's just like, and I thought, like, the scene where they're, like, going out to, like, rescue her from this giant fucking rocky windstorm was pretty cool. And then, like, David comes out and he's got, like, a fucking cord that he just, like, attaches around him and he, like, does, like, the okay sign and then just slowly, like, pulls him back inside.
It's one thing that kind of annoyed me. Just like it wasn't like it didn't detract from it, but I feel like this could have been something that could have added to like just the look of the film a lot better. But it's like as soon as they get in, like their suits and helmets are completely fine after being hit with rocks.
Yeah,
I would have at least like some scuff marks or something. Even if it didn't like crack anything.
Yeah,
you know, just like I'm just like, why is the suit completely fine?
At least like put some like dirt or something.
Yeah,
something to show that there's
just like a single something.
Yeah, I see the complaint there. So yeah, basically Holloway starts like fucking scolding her. He's like, treating her like a child. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You could have died. And it's like, yeah, but you kind of dropped your godhead. And given the circumstances, I don't think that was like a super out of like extreme decision. Like I could easily see somebody and why they would do that. Because it's like, oh, yeah, as far as you know, this is the only one that's on the planet that you've seen so far, and you came all the way here for it. You'd rather just have it and risk it as opposed to, like, just letting it be lost in the fucking rock windstorm.
Mm-hmm.
But
they take it to the med bay.
Yeah.
And they realize they're like, this is a helmet. This isn't their actual head.
Yeah, so they have
and
David
they're like, guys, we can't lift it. And David just goes and just like lifts it. Yeah. And it's the like with the species we saw at the beginning of the movie. And they're like, are these new cells growing? Like they see some new cells and they're like, I think we can trick the nervous system into thinking it's still alive. And so they inject it with something and it's like eyes twitches and they do it with a little more. And then it's like, oh, too much. And it's like starts bleeding black goo out of its like eyes and ears. And they're like, oh God, stop it. And they like can't stop it. They're like, David, quarantine it. So they put it behind this like glass wall and then it explodes.
Yeah. So like, all right, well, we can maybe extract some samples from that, maybe. But
and then Holloway's feeling all sad because he's like, we didn't get our answers.
Well, there's a. Oh, I guess.
He was talking to David about it pretty much.
Yeah, because I thought you were jumping ahead of scene. Because yeah, he's talking to David about it, and basically, he's like, well, I'm just curious why they made us, and then David's like, well, why did you guys make me? And then he's like, well, because we could. He's like,
do you know how heartbreaking that would be?
Disappointing that would be to hear it from your creator.
Yeah. Like, it's very obvious that David has emotions, and Holloway's just ignoring them. He's just, like, laughing at them. And then fucking, he's like, well, how far would you take it to, like, know the answers? And Holloway's like, anything, everything. So... fucking, he drops some of the black liquid from earlier into his drink. And just goes, here you go.
Yep. And then he drinks it, and then he goes over and kind of like talks to Shaw a bit, and he's like, yeah.
Well, he's like, hey, do you still believe in God?
Yeah, he's like, you still gonna wear your dad's stupid necklace? And it's like, even if she didn't believe in God, I'm sure she'd probably still...
Yeah, why are you being a dick about it?
Wear the necklace because it's a memento of her dead father.
This next line's really bad.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I like the idea of this, but they could have incorporated this idea into the movie a lot more subtly and a lot earlier on, at least.
Yeah, because this is like an hour in already. Like, this is like halfway through the film.
A core piece to her character, and it kind of, it's just like, it's just this one line, and it's like,
yeah, so bam. He's like, listen, nothing special about creating life. Anyone can do it. And then she's like, has a tear in her eye, and she's like, I can't.
Yeah, and it's so dumb. Everything about, like, the delivery of the scene is really bad because, like, because we see them talking about like life, and she seems totally fine, and then we get that shot where he's like, "Oh, anyone can create life," and it's like from the back of her head, and then we just like cut back to the front, and she's just got this like, she's obviously like in the middle of like crying, and she's sad. She's like, "I can't create life. I can't."
He's like, "That's not what I meant. You know that. You know, baby."
And it's like, okay, realistically, I'd hope the person, like, even, like, if this were a real situation, I'd hope that the person, like, Shaw would realistically realize, like, hey, he's talking about it in the context.
Hey, you're being stupid.
Like,
but then they have sex.
Yeah, they have sex, and then David's infected, or not David.
Charlie.
Yeah.
He gets infected, but they're like, the storm lets up, and they're like, "Guys, we can't get a hold of Fifield and Milburn." Because
right before that scene earlier when
they got wrecked. And even though it's a dumb scene, I like the deaths in this movie a lot. You know, like Alien, you don't see pretty much any of the deaths. Mm-hmm. It just kind of cuts away, which is fine for the time. But then this movie had a big budget. You know, I wanted to see some cool deaths. I love So, like, when they're in the cave, they're looking at the creature, it pokes its head out, and it suddenly, launches itself on its arm. And I actually like the way that Fifield reacts. He's like, "I'm not fucking touching it!"
Yeah, no, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd be like, "Look, dude, you were the dumbass who went up..."
Because they were both being stupid, but at least they were different kinds of stupid. And Alien, like I said earlier, it's like the same kind. It felt like these characters, at least, were all making different mistakes.
Yeah.
But so he eventually tries to cut it off, and the blood fucking sprays in his face and just like melts into his face. Yeah. And then while Milburn...
Important detail, after it hits his face goes face first into the black goo.
Yeah.
And then, it crawls into...
it breaks fucking Milburn's arm.
Yeah.
The break sounded really good, like convincing. And it looked really good. Like, I went,
Yeah.
I was like, I really like these two deaths. They look really good. Mm-hmm. Even though the setup was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of setups are really dumb in this movie, but the executions are at least good, I guess.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Because there are some that I like this. There's some things that I like the setup for, but some of the executions are bad. Like the Shaw thing, for example. Like I like the idea that she can't have a child. It adds into like the themes of the movie. Thematically, it works. But like I said, the execution was just really bad on that part.
But yeah, it breaks his arm, and it has a open part of his suit now.
Yeah.
Pretty much tore it, so it crawls in, and like I said, the creature looks really cool.
Yeah,
it looks good.
Crawls
in his mouth, and then it cuts back. And then I think that's when Holloway goes into Shaw's talk, and they talk and fuck.
Yeah.
But then Storm lets up, and they go out.
He wakes up the next morning, and he like looks in
and he
here.
sees like something like
there are like snakes in his like eye.
Yeah, in his iris or whatever. But he's like, doesn't say anything because Holloway's a fucking idiot. Yeah. Holloway's the biggest problem. Is all the science officers are always the stupidest fucking people in these movies.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he is just an archaeologist who got sent into space. But I mean, I'm not a fucking astronaut. But if I went to space and I noticed I had caught some sort of disease, my thought process would be, well, I'm probably gonna die anyway, so I shouldn't fear the thought of everyone wanting to quarantine or kill me on the ship, so I should just come clean and let my, fucking my wife, fiance, are they married? I don't think so.
I don't think they're married.
Let my partner and all these other countless people on the ship get whatever disease I might have. And it's like, just don't be a dick.
Holloway's just a fucking asshole. I'm like, Shaw, why are you with this guy?
I had this same thoughts. My
I don't really
thought
like
process
Shaw
is
that
probably
much. But I'm like, what the fuck?
Because he has a similar field of expertise, so he's got like that kind of common knowledge, but he's a bit vastly like different character from her because he's like, I'm outgoing and courageous, kind of stupid. I don't know, and I guess she likes that. Maybe, I don't know. I can't say.
But then, so the storm lets up and they go searching for them. And by the time they get to the place, pretty much nothing like really big happens. But they get into that room again, and all the vases are filled with black goo. They're like, that's not what it looked like before. And they find the bodies, and the guy Fifield, who had the goo in his face, there's something in his throat that jumps out at someone, and it misses, but it like crawls away. And they're like, guys, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
And
David.
That Milburn's nowhere to be seen, I don't think. Because he shows up later. I don't know if he's in this room, but they don't see him.
No, I think they find Milburn in the scene. And then Fifield is the one who shows up later. Because it was Fifield who had his face in the black goo. And it was Milburn who had something in his mouth that would eventually jump out. Because Fifield is the one who comes back later. Because that black goo is what, like, mutates people and, like, creates...
Well, yeah, but it's also where the stuff lives as well. So I just assumed...
I guess that's a fair point. But I'm pretty sure it is Fifield, the one who comes back later. But...
Yeah, you're right.
While all this is going on, this is the part where David, like, goes off and explores on his own, right?
Yes, David's good. Yeah, and Vickers is like, "Hey, show me your feet." But as soon as he gets into this like big room he finds, he shuts off his thing. Yeah, and she's like, "You fucking asshole."
A point that we forgot to bring up at this point. Vickers finds a scene earlier. It's like slightly earlier into the movie, but basically finds out that David's been like communicating with Wayland, who is alive on the ship. And then there's like a scene where she confronts him and she's like, "What did he say?" And he's like, "He wouldn't want me to tell you." And she's like, "What did he say?" And then he's like, "Try harder." And she gets really fucking mad at him. And, yeah. It's
also,
that
when Milburn and Fifield died because Idris Elba and Charlize Theron were fucking in the other room and no one was there to hear their call.
Maybe. As far as we know.
Well, maybe. They could have been playing Yahtzee.
Well, no. There's a theory. Which... Okay, I'm just going to bring it up now since it's relevant. Obviously, I think they fucked, but... Mm-hmm.
What, is the theory that she actually is a robot?
Yes. And just doesn't know it. But...
I mean, I could see it. I guess we'll talk about that later when we get further on. I guess we'll talk about that at the end. But they do go to each other's rooms. The biggest issue I have with this is I'm like, where were the other two people that were on the bridge earlier? Like, why wasn't somebody watching the bridge to get communications with them if they call?
I figured... Maybe it's a small crew, and maybe they all...
I mean, it does say Prometheus has a crew, like, there were 19 people aboard.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, if there's 3 people that are working the bridge, why can't just one of them be there at all times? I know Idris is like, "Oh, gotta go fuck," but couldn't he just call up one of his teammates and be like, "Hey, I need you to come watch this for, like, 45 minutes.
But no.
He just, so they die. But they, so David finds this big room,
it's basically
and he sees another hologram thing.
Yeah.
Where all these aliens come in and they're trying to they start a terminal. They start a terminal by using a flute.
Yep.
I love that. I love when flutes are used as like a...
Oh, you're going to love the next one. In that homoerotic scene with Michael Fassbender, there's also a flute.
It's just like Power Rangers. Because the Green Ranger used the flute to summon his Zord.
Yeah.
So... I think that's why I like that scene, because I'm like, hee.
Oh, okay.
But he sees and then they summon this big star map, and they have a map of Earth. So
yeah.
But then he eventually starts wandering back to the ship, and
before he gets
he sees one of them still alive. There's one in a incubator, still alive, and then. Meanwhile, in that same room with the vases and the xenomorph mural thing, Holloway's dying. He's like, "Oh!" And they're like, "Guys, we gotta go right now." So they do, and they start making it back to the ship. And they're like, "Vickers, open up right now!" And she's like, "I'm not doing that." but she like does.
But she picks up a flamethrower.
Yeah, she's
like, I'm not letting that fucker on board. Something that Ripley should have done in Alien. And basically, Holloway's like, yeah, do it. Like,
yeah, he starts walking. He's like, do it, kill me.
I almost wish there was a line because he like comes right up on like the door as it like where it would like close, and I'd be like, if I was Vickers, I'd be like, all right, I'll do it, but take a step, like 2 steps back into the gravel over there. That way, you're like boiling alien goo doesn't get all over the floor. Because it would be an issue. Like, it'd be something that definitely comes to mind.
But
in a quarantine
he lights
situation.
on fire, and then it cuts to, I think, Shaw just like in the med bay.
Yeah, she basically passes out from grief. And then
David's like taking her necklace. He's like,
she wakes up.
Mine.
He's like, I have to take it because it might be contaminated. And she's like, all right. He's like, oh man, what a shame. And what a shame in such a similar fashion to your father who died of Ebola.
And she's like, how do you know that? He's like, I watched your dreams.
And she's like, oh, I don't like that. And he's like, well, here, let me give you a sedative. By the way, you're like 3 months pregnant. And she's like, what? Give me an abortion. He's like, I can't, but we can cryogenically freeze you and take care of it later. She's like, no, just get it out of me.
But she has a sedative. Then 2 officers come in, and they're gonna.
I like this scene because they slap her cheek a little.
They're like, hey, you awake? And she's like, she's pretending to be asleep. And then as soon as they turn around, she like fucking grabs like, I don't know, it looked like a napkin dispenser. Yeah. It was just some random metal thing. She like hits him in the head and runs. Yeah. And I'm just like, where did they go? Because she like runs to this other med place with like a
runs
automated
to
thing.
Room.
Was that in Vickers' room?
Yeah, because earlier when they like first have that briefing where she's like, we're following my agenda because it's my company that paid for it. They have that part where Shaw notices like the med pod in the back. She's like, wow, this is awesome. And she's like, don't fucking touch my med pod. You know how fucking expensive that thing is? Get your fucking peasant hands off of it. She doesn't say it verbatim like that, but I mean, it's in that like 3rd or 4th scene. But yeah, it's...
I guess this leans into that theory then about Vickers being an android. Because this med pod's supposed to be male only.
Yeah.
So if she didn't... So it wouldn't be useful to her.
My main theories, like the things that I think contribute to her being a robot are... Obviously, she's not... I mean, she's very robotic. I mean, obviously there are people like that, but I mean, that feeds into the theory. Very stoic, very serious.
Kind of like you.
I can be, or I can be tons
Are
of
you
fun.
a robot?
I might be. She's the one who automatically wakes up from the cryogenic sleep and seemingly is the only one who isn't like fucking sick. She's obviously like doing push-ups immediately after. And yeah, there's that scene where Idris Elba's like, are you a robot? And obviously, Waylon doesn't really consider her much of a kid, because that's who she's at least insinuated to be, if not an android created for him, then her his daughter.
She calls him father.
Yeah. So does, I think David does too, though.
Yeah, but like Waylon, that's another, like Waylon, was made David to be like his son. So theoretically, I can't remember if he says, because he says
he's the
David,
closest thing to a son I ever had.
Does he say son? I wasn't sure if he said son or child.
He said son.
Okay.
And then, then you get a sad look at Vickers' face. But my theory is if they had gone with the sequel, or with a sequel that would have directly followed this, I think that she would have come back for the sequel, because I think she'd be like an android who survived the ship falling on her at the end. It would at least... That would be my theory, but I don't know. Probably not. She's probably just a dumb person who died.
Okay, so she goes into this med pod and she's like, I need a cesarean. And they're like, sorry, this is programmed only for men. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Why would an automated med pod only be for one, like, men. Like,
well, because the future's no different from now, because most of our medical knowledge is actually from men, because for some reason, back in the day, they were like, we'll just, like, do all of our medical science on men and just shift it over and figure it out for women.
It was just a bizarre thing, and I don't really think it was needed. But she's like, no, now I'm going to punch it in instead. It's an abdominal injury, foreign body. I think
what it is I think that is solely Wayland's pod.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
And he probably was just like, yeah, this is mine. No one else can use it. Maybe to the point where he was a dick and he's like, I'm gonna get one specifically designed for men. And that's why it's
no abortion!
None of that in this. I believe in God. I'm gonna go talk to him.
But she does, like, get a successful cesarean, and it's like, I do like this scene.
This is the scene that got the movie greenlit, because apparently the screenplay writer was like, described this scene, and then, like, Ridley was like, this is the one.
I like you, kid. You're gonna go places.
But
that's probably what he sounds like. Or he probably has like a weird gruff voice. I hate God.
I know I've seen clips of Ridley Scott talking, but I, for the life of me, can't remember what he talks like. So probably some boring old white guy voice.
But it cuts it out, and it's like holding the little baby squid thing.
Yeah, I like it.
And she's like going out of it, like,
yeah, she's just like squeezing
on it. Don't touch me! And then she closes it up, and she like runs out.
She decontaminates, and it like just kind of sprays it, and it kind of passes out or something.
Yeah. And then she runs out, and she finds Wayland, who's still alive. And she's like, what the fuck is going on? Meanwhile, before we do this movie cuts around a lot, especially around this scene.
Also, I want to bring up one other major critique I see a lot with this film, and that is Wayland's makeup, which
Why didn't they get an old person to play him instead of Guy Pearce? Is there a reason? Because Guy Pearce is like 40.
Yeah. They originally shot some footage for this movie, I'm pretty sure, if I remember hearing about this correctly. But they had shot in some, like, or at least had planned to shoot some scenes of him when he was younger, which they do in Alien Covenant. Like, they have a younger Wayland in that movie.
Okay.
It's a flashback, but yeah, so I think that was their line of thought. So they were just doing the old man makeup for that. I think it obviously doesn't look like great, but I don't mind it too much because I watch Star Trek and they do the same thing but way worse in Star Trek a lot, where they'll have like characters who are supposed to be like next level old and they'll like put them in like super really bad old man makeup. So I guess I was just kind of used to it from that. So, But yeah, I see the critique. I get it.
I didn't mind it. It felt like not a real old man in the sense that it felt like he was so old and had gotten so many surgeries that he didn't even like look like a person anymore in a sense. So I wasn't really. How old was he supposed to be? Because it looked like he was like 130. I
think they like late 90s or something like that.
Because if he was like 120 or whatever.
Maybe.
He could, or no, actually, if he was like 105, he could be a millennial.
Oh my god.
I was trying to figure out how old he would have to be a millennial when he was first introduced.
Fucking right. Jesus Christ.
Guys, it's a millennial.
Fucking millennials. You think he would have... I mean, this man lived...
Fucking millennials wanting to meet their creator.
God.
But he's alive, and outside, though, Fifield shows back up all mutated and deformed, and he just starts fucking killing people.
Yeah.
He just, like, bashes their face in.
Yeah, he's super fucking strong.
Yeah. And then, but everybody starts shooting him. Idris Elba comes out, and he's like, time to die! And they kill him. He dies. Yeah.
So basically...
And then back inside, Shaw's like, what the fuck is going on here? And David's like... Wayland's been here the whole time. And Waylon was like, I didn't want to die, like knowing I had a few good days left, so I had myself frozen until we got here.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm gonna
they put him in an exoskeleton and then the suit, and they all walk to the place where the live one is.
Well, there's a couple things that go on. So obviously they like talk a little bit more, and he talks about like, you know, oh, we're gonna go see where this live one is, because Shaw's like, wait, there's the fucking live one? What the fuck? And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't tell you about that. There is. And then she's getting ready, and then Idris Elba comes in, and this is an important line because it basically sets up his next scene, where basically
he's like, I can't let anything
he's like, look,
go back.
This isn't a fucking planet. No one would do this kind of shit.
This is a military base.
Yes, this has to be like a military base. And so I think that whatever the fuck they were doing, they were gonna fucking destroy Earth, and I can't let any of this shit go back to Earth. I will. He basically says, I will fucking die before that happens. I don't remember verbatim what he says. But
he's like, I will not let.
I'll stop
I will do
it no
whatever.
what.
Yeah. But she's like, yeah, but okay, and she pretty much agrees with him.
Yeah. So then she goes out and they go to meet the
Vickers. Also, this is when she reveals that she's like Waylon's daughter.
Yeah.
Or a android.
Because she basically goes and she's
Dad,
like, every king has his reign, and then
it is time for me to take the throne. Now die, pretty much. She's like, you need to die.
She does like this weird thing where she like tries to like Eskimo kiss his like
his weird old man nose,
and then he like, or I guess it's not an Eskimo kiss. She rubs her nose against his fingers, but then he like fists it up as a sign of disapproval, and she's like, "Hey."
But then they go. Vickers stays, the captain stays, and then like his two crewmates stay. Like a couple people stay.
Yeah.
But probably I think like 4 people go. It's David, it's one guard, it's Wayland, and it's Shaw.
Jordan was just telling me that somebody plays one of Wayland's guys. It was somebody. He says they're like an unnamed character, and I can't remember who for the life of me he was telling me it was though. But I was like, really? They're in this movie? I didn't fucking know that. But, yeah, I don't know. I digress, though. So, they go to meet the engineer. And basically, like, as soon as they get in there, David's like, you can take off your helmet. It's fine. And then Shaw's like, wait, we don't know how Charlie got infected. He's like, it wasn't the air. And basically,
she like looks at him. She's like, "What?
How do you know?" And then he just kind of stays quiet, and
they just keep going.
So she basically puts 2 and 2 together, and then they go. They wake up the engineer, and
I like Shaw's. She immediately is like, he stands up, and the engineers have to be like 9 feet tall. They're huge. And Wayland's like, David, tell him, ask him, and he's asking like questions. Why did you make us? You know?
Yeah.
And she's like, what the fuck were you doing? Why were you gonna kill humanity?
This scene is weird because it like gets down on his knee at first, like it's gonna hear them out. Like it's like, oh, cool, the humans came and like got me. And it almost seems like for a moment it's not gonna like kill them or has any malice towards them, but then he kind of like then Shaw starts screaming at him, and he kind of just, he doesn't look angry that she's screaming at him, but he looks confused. And then like one of the guards like gets her in the stomach with the gun, and it's obviously he's like, oh yeah, this isn't very good. And then David asks him the question, and like he's like, oh, and
then rips David's head off
and beats Wayland to death with it. And then like kills the other guards and the other people that are there, and then Shaw runs away.
Yeah.
And then I really like this part, but like Wayland is like, there is nothing.
And Michael Fassbender says just like, I know.
Have a good journey, sir.
Have a good journey, Mr. Wayland.
And then
and then Shaw runs and is like running, and
she basically runs to the ship,
and fucking Idris Elba's like, and Vickers are like, time to go home, and they're like getting ready to leave.
And she's like, Prometheus, come in! And he's like, Shaw, is that you?
They realized a little earlier that it's a ship they were on. It wasn't like just a tunnel, like it was a ship.
And she's like,
they're gonna take it to Earth. You know you have to stop it.
He's like, all right.
Okay.
He's like, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, go to your escape pod, bitch. I'm killing myself.
And he does something to the ship that makes it pretty much like a bullet.
Yeah.
And he like shoots she shoots herself out into escape pod, and then
his two guys, they're like, he's like, you guys can go too, and
they're like, you're a fucking shit pilot. We need to be here.
Yeah.
And they've had this bet along the whole way, and then like I said, the dialogue between them is pretty good. They're like, you don't think this means the bet's off, even though they're about to die. And he's like, okay, pay me in the next life.
And then I like their little like hands up.
Right, they're like, and then they fucking hit the ship. And like I said, the visuals for a lot of the visuals, like the storm and the ship colliding, they look great. I really like them.
Mm-hmm. I bought the 4K for this. So.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
And then that's when Charlize Theron like gets out of her escape pod, and then Shaw's like running and she's running and the thing's falling.
Yeah, and
like I really didn't, because there are things falling everywhere, and this thing, if it was falling, all you could see was this thing. So like you're running sideways.
But Shaw like trips, and then Vickers keeps
rolls
running,
out of the way,
and then she kind of like sees it's like, oh the fuck, I can just roll this way, and then Vickers is still running straight, and she's like and then just gets squished to death. And then, and then basically, like, Shaw also gets, like...
squished, but it's, like, it falls on, like, a rock, so, like, it, like, scratches, like...
it basically knocks her out.
Yeah.
And then her little helmet notification saying, you've got 2 minutes of oxygen left, wakes her up, and then she's like, oh, shit. So she goes back to the escape pod that...
Yeah, because there was the escape pod that she went out, and then there was also like pretty much one of the, I think it was her room. It was Charlie's.
Well, yeah, she goes to Vickers' room, and then because Vickers couldn't make it to her room, which is an escape pod.
Yeah.
So she had to take like just this literal, like just little like basically like tube escape thing.
And so she's gonna go there because it has like life support and stuff.
And she gets in there.
And she sees in the room that squid thing's like fucking 30 feet long now.
Yeah, but it's blocked off by this door. And she's like, oh, shit. And then David's been talking to her because he's like, Shaw, is that you? And she's like, yeah, it's
the fuck do you want?
He's like, I need your help. And she's like, why or how would I help you? He's like, well, because I can get us out of here. I know how to fly this ship. There's a shit ton more ships here.
But first he's like, hey, just so you know, an engineer's coming for you.
Oh yeah.
And he like breaks through the door, and she's like, ah! And she's like, he like grabs her, and she's like, die! And she opens the door to the room, and then the squid thing grabs her.
Grab it, and then like pull it in, and she shuts the door again, and she's like... Or maybe
she doesn't shut the door.
Oh yeah, she just runs.
Like, and the door's like open, and the guy's like the engineer's like holding himself at the door. Like this whole scene, goes on pretty long. It keeps cutting back to it, but I really like it because I like the engineer like being so strong that he could like theoretically be fighting this thing.
Yeah.
Like I like this long struggle because it shows how strong like the engineers were.
Mm-hmm. But ultimately,
it sticks its tongue in his mouth and then kills him.
It's got more arms than he does.
It's just like a giant face hugger, pretty much. It just kind of sits on him, and then she goes and picks up David, and they fly off, pretty much.
Yeah, and she's basically like, he's like, all right, well, back to Earth, and she's like, no, I gotta go meet.
Yeah, she's like, I want to go where they're from,
and he's like, why? Why would you want to do that?
No.
He's like, all right, well, I don't understand. And she's like, well, that's because I'm human and you're a robot. And he's like, oh, you fucking bitch. And then, they take off and fly off. And, I always, was really excited for the next movie because I always wanted to see what Shaw did next and see, the engineer's home planet. And
is that not what happens?
I'm not going to say a single thing, but...
Oh, good.
It technically delivers, it answers any questions I might have.
Just doesn't answer them well.
I think you'll watch the next movie and you'll see exactly why I didn't like it.
Good.
And I'd be okay if they, at like, if they wanted to go a different route, but they could have made it good at least, but it's like next level bad.
Do whatever you want, just make a good movie.
Like, it's literally more of a slasher movie than, like, the original Alien is.
Oh.
Like, because at least Alien is, like, a well-made slasher movie that has, like, good tension and, you know, it's, like, built up. But this movie, like, literally has, like, throwaway characters that, like, there's a scene where it's literally, like, a couple having sex in the shower, and then the xenomorph comes and kills them. And it's like, that is...
The xenomorph comes and has sex with them as well.
I wish. But, yeah, so... Yeah, I hate Alien Covenant. I thought it was bad. I'll probably...
Is it worse than Resurrection? If you remember Resurrection at all?
I barely remember Resurrection. I remember things about Resurrection. I think I dislike Alien Covenant so much, not because I think it's necessarily like the worst installment of the series, which I can't necessarily say, because there are things I do like about it. Like I said, I like the Michael Fassbender stuff, and it is a generally well shot movie. It looks good, but I have such a personal distaste for it because it basically takes everything I liked from this movie and shits on it.
Sounds like The Rise of Skywalker.
I still haven't seen that, so I can't say.
Just don't.
I'll probably, at this point, I'll probably watch it once it hits DVD. Because I don't think I'm going to make it to the theater for this one, nor do I even think I should try, based off what 100% of the internet says.
All right. Let's talk about some of the things Pierre doesn't like about the movie. Because I don't think Pierre likes this movie.
Okay.
Most of Pierre's thoughts are... Pierre really doesn't like it when a film tries to go for realism, which I do think that Prometheus, for being like a sci-fi film, tries to be a more realistically grounded film.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't like things like he doesn't like that a bioweapon was like the xenomorphs are like a bioweapon made, because it's just like makes no sense to use a bioweapon when you could just like fucking like if you have interstellar travel, why wouldn't you just fucking like bomb a planet instead of using a bioweapon like that? Which I can get. I don't really agree.
Yeah,
like it's like, but
see, my main like thing with that is this film has a lot of like kind of air of mystery about it. Like if you're watching it for the first time, so it has like questions that could be raised like that you would think would be explored in the sequels, maybe, but obviously, it didn't.
Oh, one thing I was gonna bring up,
but. Hold on. One more thing on that point. I do agree with Pierre on that point, kind of. Not necessarily like the use of bioweapons specifically, but I don't...
On a planetary scale, at least?
Well, no. I don't really like that the xenomorphs were like the bioweapon. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of the xenomorphs just being an alien species that exists out there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really think they needed this convoluted backstory where it's like...
They made them!
Yeah, and you'll see the like actual through line in the next movie on how like the contemporary xenomorph is made. But it's like... Yeah, like, it's okay, but honestly, just to separate it from Alien more, I would have maybe had it so it was like this disease or something instead of the... Because it really, it's a weird... When you think of the specifics of like this black goo that they have, because it infects somebody and then they have to sleep with somebody who then gives birth to this thing that impregnates somebody. And it's like, it's this weird convoluted chain that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
It's just, it has too many powers. That's one of the bad things about a lot of horror films. That's one of the big reasons I didn't like The Grudge. Kayako had way too many powers. She could just do whatever the fuck she wants.
Yeah, exactly.
The Black Goo is too much power. He also doesn't necessarily like the Geiger aesthetic because he says it looks good, but that it's not like ergonomic, and it just kind of makes everything make less sense. Like, why the fuck does ship look like that?
That's the point, though.
What?
To Geiger's work, to like, because you.
Well, yeah, but
fear the
people
unknown.
cannot like.
Oh yeah,
because his. I like Geiger, but I don't fault people for being like that. He purposely designed stuff to be like why it looked like that.
fair enough.
But his one of his big issues was that same like lack of safety concerns from everyone, which was my issue with this and Alien and like Aliens. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Why is it in everyone? But one of the big things that I saw Ridley Scott say, but he didn't want to be too on the nose, but he was talking about how like they were going to launch that weapon like 2,000 years before to Earth, which was right around the same time of Jesus. So Ridley Scott has said that fucking an engineer may have been Jesus.
Yeah, no, I've heard him talk about that before.
And I think that's a little too on the nose there.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Also,
and there's also
like 9 feet tall. I don't think Romans could take one.
There's also like, I mean, obviously there's kind of like a slight Mary Shaw, like it's very basic, but obviously like she can't have kids and then she gives birth to this obviously like
it's saying that
higher
Jesus
form
was an
of life. But yeah.
No, I definitely, and like I said, I like the themes in this movie more than Alien, because Alien I think is a pretty...
It's slasher movie.
Yeah, I think it's pretty shallow, but its execution is good. This one I think is much less shallow.
Yeah, it's a lot
I don't
more
know
ambitious.
if its execution is quite as good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of Alien. And honestly, if I'm just going to say it here, I probably liked Prometheus just a little more, because I'm giving this spoiler. I'm saying my score. I gave this one a 6, but I think it's just a slightly higher 6 than the Alien 6 I gave.
Yeah. I watch this movie more than I watch Alien. So I probably enjoy it more, but
you appreciate Alien more?
Yeah. Because, like I said, Alien is just like a really well executed film, and this movie is much more ambitious than Alien, but in terms
also, I guess I like
blunders.
the characters a lot more in this movie. Like, at least most of them. Like, Ripley, I think, is a pretty good character, but I don't really think she's that good of a character until, like, an hour and a half into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
This one, I think that, like, there are interesting characters from the, like, first minute. And not all of them are interesting. I don't really like how they used Fifield and Milburn. I kind of like them, but I don't think their dialogue is very good.
Yeah.
I kind of like how they kind of seemed a little gay. But most of the characters I didn't mind. The only character I like actively didn't like the writing for was Holloway.
Yeah.
Just because I'm just like, he's just being antagonistic for no reason.
Yeah.
It's not even, it didn't even like, the film didn't even try to make him seem like an asshole either. It just kind of felt like he's a good guy.
Yeah. I would love to see like somebody take Prometheus and turn it into like, instead of like this movie, if they were to do like a 10-episode anime out of it or something, or a series where they could explore the characters a little deeper and explore more of these ideas a bit more.
I wish they had separated this from Alien even more, though. Like the Alien mural thing, the xenomorph, that shouldn't have been there. Like, that was,
and then we forgot to mention the scene, that like actual end scene where the proto xenomorph like jumps out of the engineer.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like,
because I don't really like that scene either.
Yeah.
I like the engineer just dying.
Yeah.
But, there were quite a lot of things I liked about the movie. I just thought it had a lot of issues as well, which is fine. I thought it was worthwhile of my time, and I don't feel like it was wasted, and I enjoyed it. And even though I haven't loved any Alien movies yet, I'm excited to see more, even if they're bad. I like watching series in full.
Well, you've only got the bad ones left. So.
I mean, I'm not done with Aliens yet.
Yeah, you've got a few minutes.
I don't know. What if I just love Alien 3?
You might. I mean, it's got some. Alien 3, like I said, it's kind of, I kind of feel about that one how I feel about this, only more negatively, where I think it's got some good stuff in it, but it's just mixed around with a lot of bad stuff.
Gotcha.
But I like the Sigourney Weaver shaved her head. I like that. I think it's bold.
Bold. Beautiful. Love it.
And there is one iconic shot from the movie where like the xenomorph is like right up in her fucking face. I really like that. And there's some decent characters in 3. I just wish they would do a bit more with them. And then 4 is like a fucking like it. 4 is the one out of any of them that like jumps the shark a little bit. It's just like, oh wow, this one's very strange in tone compared to the other 3. Because even 3 is bad, but it's got like a serious tone through it.
Is 4 like a goofy?
4 is pretty goofy from what I remember. It's got like Brad Dourif in it. And
maybe I'll like 4.
You probably will. If I had to guess, you'll probably walk away at least being like, I think I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
4, I'm gonna like make a video. Why Alien 4 is the best film ever made.
Winona Ryder's in it, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
I haven't seen it since I was a little kid. Like, so it's been a long time. But, yeah. Ron Perlman's in it.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's watchable. It's got things.
I could pick that for the podcast.
If you want to.
I'm not going to. I have one.
Oh.
So I gave it a 6. What'd you give it?
I
know originally you gave it a 7. Is that still where you're at?
Here's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
I think, in reality, this movie is a 6, but I like it so much, I'm gonna give it a 7.
They're gonna say an 8.
No.
Yeah. No, mine's a pretty high 6. It's almost a 7. Like, probably be like a 6.8. 6.9, because that's a funnier number. But, like, Alien, for me, I would probably give like a 6.5. Just... It's still a good movie.
Yeah.
People got so mad at me when I gave it a 6. I'm, guys, come on.
Like I said, I get it.
And somebody commented on my review. They're like, "You're gonna fucking hate Alien Covenant."
Oh, dude, Alien Covenant. I can't wait to talk to you about that one because I've been holding back
Most
a
likely,
lot.
I'll probably watch it today. Like, I might watch it after you leave.
The only time I'll be willing to rewatch it is if Ridley Scott does like the final one in this trilogy.
Would you watch all of them or just this trilogy?
I would probably depend on how I feel after the third one, probably, since that's where it like joins. I'd probably at least be like, fuck, I gotta at least rewatch Alien.
Yeah. So 6.5 for us. Still a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's my current favorite Alien in the franchise of the 3 I've seen. I haven't finished Aliens, but I know it's not going to be. I have not enjoyed it.
Game over, man. Game over.
Is that where that's from?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I saw him say that. I'm like, is that? I didn't realize. I do like Bill Paxton in the movie. I like Bill Paxton, so. Okay. What's your pick for next week? Old movie.
It's a film directed by Wim Wenders. It's called...
Wim Wenders?
Yes.
I don't think I'm familiar.
He does Wings of Desire and a few others. But the movie I'm picking by him is called Paris, Texas.
Oh, shit. I've been meaning to watch Paris, Texas for a long time. Cool.
Yeah, me too. So...
Harry Dean Stanton.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, so... I thought of this like a week ago. I'm like, I've been meaning to watch this movie. Because I for a modern pick, I was thinking about picking this Harry Dean Stanton movie. But I was like, I want to like watch some of his earlier movies before I do that. So, and I haven't seen this one. So I thought it would be good.
And my pick just came on the Criterion channel.
Yes. Oh shit! Okay,
Adaptation.
I'm down.
Spike Jonze.
I've been meaning to watch this movie for.
Yeah, I know, and I'm like, I need to talk to somebody about this, so I'm gonna make you watch it.
Yeah, dude, I'll fucking watch Adaptation.
Yeah, Nick Cage, which I think currently this is my favorite of the Cage films. It's
I can't blame you. Charlie Kaufman is...
But also, he's Nick Cage, because he plays twins in the movie.
Yeah,
I
saw like the first 2 minutes and I was like, I gotta read the book first. And I bought The Orchid Thief. And I have it, and I read like the first like couple chapters. And then I got really bored. Because it's a book about a guy who steals flowers. And it's like, it goes very in depth. And I
think
know
like the movie a lot.
Yeah, I know that the movie is about
nothing like that.
Yeah.
Charlie Kaufman's just like, I'm just gonna kind of write my own thing.
Yeah, he mostly just wrote it about himself writing it.
Yeah, because I was... Charlie Kaufman's like my favorite fucking filmmakers out there. Like, I love Charlie Kaufman. You're Charlie Kaufman because his Netflix movie is coming out this year. I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which I read the book for that. Pretty interesting book. I'm interested to see what he's going to do with it because I don't imagine he'll be following the source material very closely. Mm-hmm. And then he wrote a book which is coming out. It's scheduled for May. It's called Ant Kind, and it's about like movie making, but it's like a fictional book. So I'm excited to read that. I hope he writes more books because I think he's a really good writer, and he doesn't seem to get the appreciation he deserves from the film establishment. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, but I've like listened to a lot of interviews with him, and he's talked.
Does he have a pretty weird voice? From the looks of it, he looks like he would have kind of a funny.
He's kind of meek. He's very kind of like shy guy.
Hi, my name's Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah, not quite that meek, but yeah, no, he's great. And he's talked like because lots of people will bring up Adaptation when they're interviewing him because his first 4 movies are like that sweet spot that people like to talk to him about, from Being John Malkovich over to Eternal Sunshine.
Being John Malkovich is also a pretty great movie.
Oh, I love it. I've got the screenplay. I've got the Blu-ray. I don't have the Criterion Blu-ray, though. I have, like, a fucking UK Blu-ray, so I'll have to get the Criterion for that.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to another epic podcast. Don't forget to tell your grandmother.
Yeah.
And we'll see you later.
Adios.